128 days until the start of the National Football League. 128 days to get your new high-powered offense implemented. The complete changing of the guard in Philadelphia offense. 128 days. Hit the like button. Super chats go to the top. Today on the program at 3:30, Coach Jason Brown will be with us at 3:30. Jason Cole will be with us at 5:30. Do me a favor. Please hit that like button. Super chats go to the top. Before we get going, Joe, I got to tell you about Joe Krause. Joe, I got to tell you, that dude, being the Mariano Rivera this morning for Zander, comes up with some really great angles. And I was listening to Joe ask John McMullen questions. And you know, one of the most important questions that came out of Joe Krause asking John McMullen was this. Help me out here. So you're changing the entire offense in the passing game, hiring Sean McVay's guy, Sean McVay's style of offense, getting pass catchers in here. How in God's name is that not enticing to A.J. Brown wanting to stay? The number one problem he had was that it was a run-first offense. Now, with the personnel hirings and the coaching hirings, how come he doesn't want to stay? If somebody came to me and said, I want, and I'm going to do everything with your style, and we're going to build a radio station around your style. We're going to build a network around your style. Okay? Well, doesn't that make you want to stay? Why wouldn't you want to stay? Why in God's name? It can't be the winning. You win. Can't be the money. What can it be? Ask yourself this. They're repainting the car. They're giving him a new engine. They're telling him we want to be a passing game. Why in God's name would A.J. Brown want to leave? They're doing everything to appease the guy. Why does he still want out? Anybody? Hey, random thoughts here. Why would you want to leave when you're moving the offense? Hey, do you not agree? The new hirings and the new signings and trades is conducive to being more towards AJ than Saquon Barkley. What have they done for Saquon Barkley in the run game? Hoping health happens? You're hoping they get healthier. The passing game, you signed all these wide receivers and drafted a number one guy. Help me out here. Why does A.J. Brown still want out of Philadelphia? And you got a train wreck going on in Boston right now. Why in God's name does he want out? There's no other way to look at it. It's the quarterback. It's the quarterback. Okay, what else? Can't be Nick. Nick's won for him. Nick's won. He's the head coach. Okay? They're 50-18 in 4 years. Yeah, but Senor, at least they're winning, dude. Senor, at least they're winning. So, Nick Sirianni's delivered everything. Money, wins. Why does he want out? Okay, it's a great comment here. It's Nick's decision to not throw the ball to AJ. Why would Nick make that decision, Senor? Senor, why would Nick make that decision to not throw the ball to AJ Brown? Why would he make that call? Okay? No. No, get this. So this guy blames everything in Jalen. I'm asking a question that you now all of a sudden assume. Get this. You see this, Joe? Here's the question. You signed 5 wide receivers and drafted a first-round guy. You hired Sean Mannion, who runs the Matthew Stafford offense. You want to be more proficient in the passing game. Why wouldn't AJ want to stay? The winning's there. The numbers, when it comes to winning, they're there. His salary's there. Why would he want to leave? Guys, do you think AJ had a passing quarterback in Philadelphia that got him the ball, he would give a shit? That's right. Great take. Great take. We aren't in the building. We don't know what the issue is. So wait a minute. Bird Gang is going to go. Look, let's see. Who'd you sign? You signed Elijah Moore. You traded for Dontavian Wicks. You got Hollywood Brown. And you signed drafted Mekhi Lemon in the first. You brought in Mannion. What else could it be? Sills, what a stunning win for my Flyers with Vlad. Vlad, we have a small chance to beat the Hurricanes. You were right about the Penn series. How you doing? Hey, the Hurricanes are a good team, dude. They had a breeze first round, but the Hurricanes are good. The Bolts last night, that was a massive loss for them in their own barn at Benchmark against the Canadians. The Eastern Conference can get more wide open on Friday if the Lightning get knocked out for the 4th straight year in the opening round. This guy doesn't understand our fan base, does he? He doesn't understand that we don't care about AJ drama anymore. Huh. You don't care about AJ drama? Then why are you letting go your best player as a wideout? Let me guess, Dick Bragg. You think that Devonta Smith is a better player than AJ Brown? Hey, Bird Brain, do you think that Devonta Smith is a better player than AJ Brown? Help me out, Bird Brain. Do you really believe that? I'll bet you anything. Watch this. Bird Brain believes that Devonta Smith's a better player than AJ Brown. Is that right? Hey, come on, Bird Brain. Devonta broke the rookie record. He'll be fine. So Bird Brain believes that hey, hold on. Bird Brain, do you believe that Devonta Smith is a better player than A.J. Brown? Sileo believes Drake May will outplay. He did last year. Drake May has done something Hurts will never do. Throw for 30 TDs and $4,000 in a season. And Hurts has been in the league 7 years. Ever. Like, ever. Last year, Smith. So wait a minute. Oh, this is great. Eagle fans believe, like Bird Brain, that Devonta Smith's a better player than A.J. Brown. That's so stupid. Oh, my God. Your cats are getting stupider and stupider every year. Get this, James. Some of these Eagle fans in here think that actually Devontae's better than A.J. He's more skilled as a route runner, but as a player, nowhere near it. Sills glazes AJ's effort. Well, Pro Bowl every year, 2 NFC titles, Super Bowl. Sure, a lot to be glazing. Smitty was under 1,000 yards his rookie year, and Hurts was 16 TDs and 19 INTs. Shut up, Eagle fans. Here's Sasha. Maybe there's more health issues that we aren't aware of, and Smokescreen would like to keep, but really ready to move on. Now, that's the ready to move on part. That take isn't real. No way they believe AJ's worse than Devonta. As someone who loves Smith, I do too. Dre, I do too. He's not better. Oh, my God. As a matter of fact, we got a topic on this coming up. And this is where we're going here. Sills, is this fair in a West Coast system? You don't have to be fast, just a good route runner. I think that's a fair comment. I do, Kyle. Thank you for the super. Sills, since Hurts has no trade clause and the Eagles can't move on from him, so AJ wants out. So it's totally on Hurts, and the Eagles are forcing Hurts to sink or swim since the offense passing game has been horrible. So let's get to that topic now. Let's go right to it. Will Devonta Smith have the same impact that A.J. Brown had on this offense moving forward? Yes or no? And why do you believe that? Will Devonta Smith have the same impact that A.J. had on this offense? And why, if it's yes, and why, if it's no? I'm talking about the impact of presence. Get this. There are different players. It's like me comparing you to Jerome. You sucked, but played the position. Devonta is closer to AJ than you were at any DT ever. Okay? Let's see here. That guy is a number 2 and always has been a number 2 in Philadelphia. Always. And Bird Brain, not a great comparison. We're talking about A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. Bird Brain. Just guy's new name. Bird Brain fits him well. Dumbest takes, stupidest guys. There's like 5% of you that are just they make my day. They totally make my day. Guys like Kim, Reyes, other folks in here make my day. I love it. Would you say AJ's best years are behind him? No, I wouldn't. As much as you want to think it is. No. I guarantee you he goes to New England and has a 1,500-yard year up there with 10 touchdowns. Get this. How many people believe that A.J. Brown will go to a 4,000-yard passing quarterback and Josh McDaniels is his play caller and Smitty has Sean Mannion and Nick Sirianni calling plays? Who do you think is going to have more success? Nick and a guy who's never called plays, or a guy who's been one of the best play callers in football? Who? Oh, but let me guess. Devonta will, though, right? And here's a new one. Do you think having a new coordinator is going to affect the offense? Or will this be a M. Reyes bullshit seamless transition like he said Reyes said last year? I went back and looked at some of the shows. The words that he used with Kevin Patullo, seamless transition. Do you believe this will be a seamless transition? Yes or no? Will this be a seamless transition? I bet you 1,000. If AJ goes to New England, he won't get 1,500 yards. You're just talking shit. Put some money on it. Hey, Marshall, I'll tell you what. I'll do you one better. I'll have you on my program at the end of the year, and we'll see who has a better season, A.J. Brown or Devonta Smith. Is that fair? You got a deal? Who has a better year? A.J. Brown or Devonta Smith? Let's put a little bit up here where you get to talk shit to me for 30 minutes. You got a deal? Got a deal? Are you ready, Marsh? Who will have a better season? AJ or Devonta? Make the deal. Oh, I'd rather money, but we have a deal. Okay, we have a deal. 30 minutes. Marshall, here's the deal. On April 30th, 2:22 Eastern time, who has a better season, Devonta Smith or A.J. Brown? My money is on A.J. 90 catches, 1,500 yards. Here's my takeaway with Devonta this year in this new low-powered offense. 75 catches, 1,100 yards. And there's your number one. There's your number one receiver. Already recorded. I'll send Marsh the link in December. Hey, I'll tell you what, man. Joe's got you down now, Marsh. And you put that away, and you hold that in your little phone. And I'll be reminding you of that by the end of the year. How you doing? All right. So, hey, Marsh, we'll ask you this question. Will Devonta Smith have the same impact on the Eagle offense that A.J. Brown had as the number one? Do you think he will? I know you're a great Eagle fan. So's this chick, even though she likes to start fires too. She's a little bit of a Sills version of Big Sills. Oh, really? You hear what he said? Can you believe it? I can't believe he said that. Holy shit, did you hear what he said? That's Sue. I kind of like it in a way because it reminds me a little bit of me. How you doing? Hey, Marsh, who has a better year? Who has better impact on the team? Okay? Of course, we can always count on somebody to go there in our fine chat. We can always count on somebody. And here we go. I love Marsh, man. No, because they're two different styles of receiver. Come on now. Okay. He won't have the same impact, but he's going to have more yards than A.J. Brown with Josh McDaniels, who was the assistant coach of the year last year in the NFL, and with a guy who threw for 4K. Solid take. Oh, my God. You talk about easy money. Holy shit, Marsh. Marsh put himself out there, but at least guess what? That's more than them half-ass hosts in Philly do that are on the radio now. Really? What do you think? Really? No. Wow. What are you? Oh, At least have some balls. At least have a cheesesteak down there, right? I mean, it's hilarious. Devonta and AJ have been having career years. How come this clown won't tell me who's throwing the ball? Easy. Better quarterback that throws the ball is in New England. Where's the Hurts jersey? You reneged on where I never reneged on wearing anything. You guys sucked last year. I never made anything about wearing a jersey. I told you I'd have you guys on. There was never anything about that. Wearing a jersey. For what? He didn't accomplish shit last year. Funny, AJ didn't touch 1K until he got around Smitty. That's not true. He had 2,000-yard receiving years in Tennessee. And Ryan Tannehill got him those numbers. Marsh, I love you, but that's not true. He had 2 1,000-yard receiving years when he was a Tennessee Titan. Here's a good question. If you put AJ or Smitty on New England, I think it's damn close in numbers. Hey, Duel, if I put Smitty in New England, he'd have 1,400 yards too. The quarterback is the difference. Hurts ain't throwing to Devonta for 1,500 yards. Bird brain seeds out. Sills never addressed AJ's effort. Smitty never had the question about him. I never questioned his effort because I knew who he was from his NFL draft profile. You knew he took plays off. T.O. took plays off. Randy Moss took plays off. If you didn't know that, you're the only one shocked. Sills, be careful. New England will have a first place schedule this year. CRT. Don't you get it? You know why AJ's going to have a better year? CRT. Why would AJ have a better year with New England having a top flight schedule? Someone help CRT. Why he would have a better year? Anybody? Because CRT, I believe you're right. They'll be playing from behind and they'll be throwing the ball more. That's why he's going to have a better year, because they'll be behind. You're right. He got barely over 1K twice, 1075 and 1071. Well, that's really great. Well, we're going to see how your boy's going to do this year without A.J. Brown in the room. Big Seals, your opinion. What quarterback could run this offense the best? Tanner McKee, but he's not your answer. You don't have the answer for this offense in your huddle. I hope Jalen Hurts has 5,000 yards this year so he can shut mouths up. 5,000 yards. It would be more like this. 2,900 passing and 1,100 yards rushing. Dude, Jalen Hurts has a better chance of leading the NFL in rushing touchdowns than he does in passing touchdowns. I mean, did you hear Howie talk about Hurts? He's a Jalenite. Yeah, well, until he shits the bed. I'm sure he loved Carson Wentz after they gave that guy. Here, get this. You know what I love? Hey, Joe, think about this with these Eagle fans here. The organization loved Carson Wentz. He gave a guy $32 million. You better be in love with a guy if you're giving him $32 million, don't you think? Hey, I kind of half like the guy. Here's $32 million. Well, what happened on the way to the prom? Yeah, I don't know if that's the guy. Yeah, I don't know. You think that's the guy? Do you think? Do you think that's the guy? I'm not really sure. Yeah, I'm not sure. 2 days later, 3 days later, 7 months later, they're moving off of him. What happened there with that love affair? Dan Sileo, Liddy gets off on, I don't hate anybody. CRT, if A.J. Brown isn't winning with New England this year, will his losing effort, his motivation, we shall see if it was just Hurts thing. Here's the thing too, CRT. You think he's going to New England if he gives a shit about winning? He's looking to pad stats right now to get to a Hall of Fame. All right. So you couldn't answer the Devonta Smith being an impact on your team the way AJ is. Let's ask the next one. Will Mekhi Lemon have the same impact that Devonta had as the number 2 wide receiver in 2026? What do you think? For all the Jalenites, I'll drop a 20 super if he throws for 4K. And you should put 30 touchdowns. Just like Nicole Head saying, Keely Bingo, all pro. I know. All those guys last year were telling me how good Keely Bingo was. Do you believe that Mekhi Lemon has the same impact as the number 2 wide receiver that Devonta has had since he's been an Eagle? Yes or no? In a new offense, with a new style and new coaches, do you believe? Okay? You tell me. He will. So Mekhi Lemon is going to be one of the better second wide receivers this year. $1,100. No, he should be around $700. See. Little Johnny, come pick your mom. Hey. No, he's a rookie. Won't even play more regularly until game 6 or 7. Unless injuries to others. So CRT, your passing offense, in your opinion, in the first 2 months of the season is going to be Dontavian Wicks and Devonta Smith and Hollywood Brown? That's your wide receiver core? It's like stealing a lollipop from a kid. No, because he is a slot receiver and Hurts doesn't throw to the middle of the field. Okay? Hurts just doesn't. 38% of his passes a year ago was across the middle of the field. He's the worst quarterback in pro football throwing in the middle of the field on attempts. He's the worst. He's afraid. I think Lemon could have a similar season to. That's a great call. Mike, great topic. Great topic, Mike. Mike, great topic. Look at this, guys. Joe, this is why we got great people. All right. Devonta Smith's rookie season. He had 64 catches for 916 yards and 5 touchdowns. Does Mekhi Lemon have those numbers in his rookie year? 64 catches, 916 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Okay. So, KC, if he doesn't, it's a failure rookie year, right? Sills, why are you asking these stupid questions? There's no way these receivers are going to excel with the first-time play caller and limited quarterback. Oh, I know this. I'm watching I'm picking up the people that are the dumbest in here. So, KC, if Mekhi Lemon doesn't have 64 catches, 916, and 5 touchdowns, or around that, it'd be a failure rookie year, in your opinion, right? Which meant you completely downgraded from A.J. Brown being on the team. Smitty to Lemon would be an even bigger fall than you thought. Okay. I think that's being fair. I think those are respectable numbers to be around as a rookie first-round pick. Don't you? 64 catches, no AJ, 900 yards, 5 touchdowns for a first-round draft choice. I'd say the thing about Jordan Tyson, too. If he's not in that conversation, I'd put him in that, too. If he doesn't have 65 catches, 900 yards, and around 5 TDs, I think he'd be a bust, too. I'm thinking more like 60 catches, 540 yards. That would be a disgrace. If Mekhi Lemon has 60 catches for 500 yards, you've downgraded massively. And if Smitty doesn't get A.J. Brown numbers, it would be a massive drop-off in the passing game, even more. Pietas, if Lemon comes in at those numbers, the passing game will be even worse. If Hurts spreads the ball around, where has he ever spread the ball around? So, wait a minute. Stowers is going to play 500 yards worth of offense over Goddard? He's not a better player than Goddard. Who said Stowers is going to play that much? I mean, dude, Stowers is not a better ball player than Dallas Goedert. That's not even remotely possible. He's going to be around 200-300 catching yards He's not going to be in a position where that guy's going to be. Are they running 2 tight end sets? But did we downgrade if the passing game is more efficient? Not talking about volume, just more consistent of a threat to complement a run game. That's a great way to look at it. Yes, I'd agree, SS. Okay. What logic? He's telling me if Mekhi Lemon doesn't have at least the rookie numbers, and that if A.J. Brown, you don't see like 90 catches out of Devonta for at least 1,300 yards. Idiotic logic? Your passing game was worse then. If you can't at least duplicate it. I mean, the 2026 Eagles will have to win with defense. Agreed. That it will take time to see the offense and if it can produce with the new play callers and talent. I completely agree with you. So I'm more worried about the defense, okay? Think about Campbell's first year as a starter. No safety opposite Makuba, and Woolen over on the right side might not mesh with Q and Coop. Still, we'll see. I think the defense is going to be okay. My question, though, and I disagree with a lot of people, I don't think you have a ton of depth like you did in the years past. And I think a couple key injuries will be really catastrophic to that defense. Like any kind of significant injuries like you had a year ago to Jalen Carter. Look at Jalen Carter a year ago. I mean, he missed some games, but not a ton of games. And his injuries were significant because you know why? You had no backups. You really didn't have any backups. And when you had to play dominant teams to get ran the ball, you got ran over. And you're not that great a run-stopping team. See, next year, for me, what I would do is I'd run the ball at the Eagles. I mean, they were not a really good run defense. They were 22nd in run defense. Seals, where does Barkley factor in this new scheme? Is he banking on health? Yeah, you're banking on health because of the money you have. And the money you have tied up in this, yes. Absolutely. So, you haven't seen Smitty's impact when AJ didn't play last season? What game was that? What game did Devonta Smith had an impact when AJ wasn't playing? What game was that? Let me see. Let me go back and see what game that must have been for Devonta when he didn't play. So let's see. So, like, what game was that? Second Giants game. Okay? And they pretty much handled them, right? The second game. They handled them the second game. Okay, so the Giant game against one of the worst secondaries in pro football. What did the Giants do last year defensively? Let's take a look at that. Let's see where the Giants were in pass defense. Let's see where they were. Pass defense. New York Giants. They were 17th. Not bad. They're in the middle of the road. Okay? Not bad. So the Giants game. A 4-win Giant team. Solid. That's your take? You didn't help yourself there. If I'm playing the Eagles this year, I would stack the box to stop the run and force Jalen to beat me from the pocket. That's going to be he can't do it. He couldn't do it last year against the beat-up 49er team. If they don't get a run game that is better than they had a year ago, that team will win 8 ball games this year. I don't know why y'all try to answer these guys' questions. You'll never win with him. Win. It's not about winning. It's about answering a question. And by the way, Guy, I'm sure the show with Bill Cunnilingus and some of those other guys over there would suit you well. I'm promising you. Do you know I told you I had a rule? I blocked nobody. We like screen callers. Like Joe knows how like WIP works. They give you an interview before you go on the air. I don't do that. Not 99% of the people in here are smart football people. There's just a certain few that are dummies, but they're classic and I love them. And get this, you guys make me look like Einstein. If I'm playing the Cowboys, I just play prevent. So, Dak, I wouldn't do that during the regular season. He owns you. Got to get to the postseason, dude. Dak Prescott owns the Eagles in the regular season. You mean the postseason, not regular season. Dak's thrown for 300. I think Dak's 9-4 versus the Eagles in the regular season. I don't know what you're talking about. If you're the Eagles, you're going to have a tough game because you barely beat them. Hey, Texas boy, do me a favor. What's Dak's record overall versus Philly? Have to wait till the season starts to get honest sills. Yeah, right. You mean like the entire honesty that we had last year about what you were going to look like? Yep, he's a regular season champ. That may well be. But you were talking about the postseason because you weren't talking about the regular season because you tried that last year. They came back from 21 down. Dak Prescott's 10-5 versus Philly. I mean, you play prevent against him, carve your ass up like he always does. Dak should have swept the Eagles if it wasn't for CD's drop and Miles Sanders' fumble. That fumble that Sanders had was a huge play. I think if I'm not mistaken, I think that was Zach Bond on that play. Sills, where will Mekhi Lemon fit in the offense? I think more in the slot. Hurts does not throw to the slot. If Lemon makes a Smitty rookie-type impact, he will play outside. Okay? You know, most of the time when he was at Southern Cal, though, he played inside, and they moved him around a lot. You know what? And the quarterback, Jalen Hurts, can't handle like a lot of motion because when you're a pro-style quarterback, you know, by the way, I can't wait till Coach Brown comes on today. I can't wait till Coach Brown comes on. We'll talk to him. That'll be at 3:30. If the Eagles are so bad, okay, great. Why, if the Eagles are so bad, why have they won Super Bowls and Dallas hasn't in like 30 years? Come on, stop glazing. Okay, Angelo, all well. Angelo, why are you changing everything up? You're right. You've been winning more than anybody in the NFC East the last 4 years. Why are you changing? Angelo, why are you changing then? Angelo, I'm asking you, only you. Why are you changing if you're so successful? And by the way, Angelo, don't let anybody in here tell you anything. You're changing. Look at the players you've drafted and signed and the coaches you've hired. Why are they changing then? If you have done so much over the last couple of years, why in God's name are you changing the entire offense? Anything? No answer? I can guarantee you this. When you have a top flight quarterback, you don't change offenses. You enhance them. My God almighty. Okay. Here's the one I've been saving. Hit the like button. Appreciate all of you coming aboard. All right. I'm going to do this again. Okay? Here's what you've added. Let me go over to the Eagle roster. And let's just, what your actions are. Okay? Guys, I'm going to go by your actions. And then you tell me. Okay? And here's the next topic. You've added Makai Lemon, Elijah Moore, Eli Stowers, Dontavian. Who else? That's it. You've hired McVay's style of coordinator. Okay. There's 128 days until the season starts. How do you think this personnel is going to handle a new approach? Say it's even 30%. You have 128 days until the start of the football season. Theoretically, let's see here. You've got what? Let's see here. You've probably got what? 3 months to figure that out? You got 3 months to implement this new offense with a quarterback who's limited. How do you think this is going to go? Let's use a MRAS word. Seamless? 128 days until September 5th when the National Football League season starts. Okay, get this. It's already figured out, Sills. You mean like last year? RC, did they figure it out last year and they knew what they were doing? So get this. Last year, they knew what they were doing and they ran it back. This year, they've never done some of the things they're going to attempt to do, but they've already figured it out. How have they figured it out when they haven't practiced yet? How are they going to figure that out? You don't even know what plays the quarterback likes in the offense yet. The quarterback hasn't even done 7-on-7 yet. He hasn't even done that. This guy hasn't even thrown drills to anybody. What people are not talking about is that if we are switching to the West Coast offense, if the vets have to learn how to, people like the rookies are going to adjust to that. I would say this. I think you got a better chance of coaching rookies with the West Coast offense than you do the veterans. Veteran dudes are set in their ways, man. What do you mean he likes? Dan, don't you think he should run whatever the coaches call? No, that's not how building a game plan works. Dude, when you hear, I've been in these meetings. So when you're putting a game plan together for a quarterback, you'll have the entire Tokyo phone book. Crowley, this is how you put a game plan together. I know you guys look at it as stats, but at the beginning of the year, you're given a Ray Didinger encyclopedia of plays. Okay? Like this, like this. What you do is on Monday, when you come in, Monday, you watch the film. You get your playbook for the week. Wednesday, you get your game plan. You take both these books plus your playbook. You bring them into the Wednesday meeting, which is this. You meet as a team. Then you meet as a defense and offense. Then you meet individually. Then you watch film and you go out and practice what the opposing team's doing. Okay? Then, if you're a quarterback, you sit there with the run game coordinator, you sit there with the pass game coordinator. And they'll basically ask Jalen Hurts, Jalen, what plays do you like against the Cowboys? I like this, and this, and this. This, and this, and this, and this. The coaches then will take those 30 plays. They'll look up and they'll see the tendencies of what the Cowboys do and don't do. They'll come back to Jalen Hurts and go, that play's running right into a negative wall. That play's most likely not going to work. There's like an 18% chance that that play's going to work, and they'll give you the analytics. Jalen might like a play against the Cowboys 34. Analytics guys will go, well, if you want, here's the 7 plays that we think will be effective versus what you're seeing. Hurts will look down and pick out one of those plays, and he'll go with one of those plays. That's why you see the script and coaches holding this like this. There's 30 plays the coaches like. I mean, there's 30 plays the player likes. And that's why they're scripted. You guys notice this? Those first couple plays that are scripted, Hurts is pretty good. It's when they get off that script, they have to start in-game situational play calling. You ever notice that, Joe? Eagles get out of the gate pretty good. Last year they didn't because it was 3 and outs. But previous years, they got out really good. They were on script. They were doing pretty well. And everybody kept asking all of a sudden, how come they just go into some conservative role? Well, it's after they get off that first 30 plays and they have to have situational in-game play calling. What the hell did Kevin Petula know about situational play calling? He's never done it. How would he know what a feel for the game is? What, standing on the sidelines next to Nick holding his cord? How in God's name are you going to think that that guy has any feel for it? Same thing when it comes to Mannion. What kind of game feel does he have? You're going to be able to come up with 30 plays. The question is going to be after those 30 plays. The other 35. There's 65 plays in a game traditionally. Where the Eagles got beat last year was the 35 plays and the 3 and outs. This is where Sirianni gets exposed. Shit don't get talked about enough. Correct. Hey, my friend, they'll put a game plan together. They'll put the first, 30 plays on there. Hurts will go up tempo. It'll look good. What happens when they get off that script? 4 verts were called off script. When 4 verts against the Niners was called, why don't we run this? That was off the reservation. That's why those coaches had an ass with it. Because it was off the reservation and it was not part of the game plan. That's why they had an issue with it. Okay? That's why they had an issue with it. Was because that was off the reservation. Crowley, that's how a game plan's built. They put the game plan together during the week with all these plays that Hurts comes up with and likes, and they all agree on. All of a sudden, your boy, 4th and whatever, 11, he goes off the reservation, and he calls a play that they didn't even prep for. That's shitty play calling. That's shitty coaching. That's shitty prep. That's on all of them. That's just a shit look. That makes your entire coaching staff and your quarterback look stupid. I bet the fuck you do see it now. Okay? Sills, at least we should have closer by the, get this, all over the place. Bro, that means you can't follow along. Like this weekend, when they inundate the rookies with plays to see how much they retain, you'd be fired in 4 seconds. Get that guy's fucking ass out of here. Put him outside the NovaCare Center parking cars. Guy can't even follow a simple play. Oh, by the way, I know some of you couldn't be spoken to like that because outside of a coaching staff or outside of a locker room, you'd probably all melt like butter in a pan because some of you are soft as tissue paper. Imagine if Foles went up to Peterson, want to run 4 verts. Yeah, let's run it. Yeah, well, the difference is Nick Foles is a better passer than Hurts. There's no way Jalen, Nick, and Kevin came out of that huddle with 4 verts called. Well, who called it then? Gotcha, brother. My mistake. Gotcha, bro. Dude, hey, that's how this is going to roll. The biggest obstacle is winning on first downs and not putting yourselves in third and long situation. Dude, remember this? Hey, Danelle, would you agree that the difference between 24 and 2025 was completely, you were in third and short almost the entire season in 24. In 25, you were always in third and long. There was the year. That's their microcosm. Okay? That's a microcosm of the entire year. The Bears game told you everything you needed to know about the offense last year. That might have been the game that made Howie and Nick and Lori decide to scrap everything in 26. It's a good DFW. I think what that Chicago game did do was this. I don't think the front office could believe they got beat up by the Bears like that. The Bears beat them up. They beat them up. And that's the first time me covering the Eagles that I had seen them get beat up. Even if they had lost that football game, they got beat up in that game. The Bears took it to them. They lined up with limited plays and kicked their ass up and down the field for almost 300 yards rushing. The offense was a machine at 3 and outs, and the defense couldn't stop anybody. And they ran the ball down their throat. They ran the ball down their throat. They were constantly in third and long. They were not winning first down. They were getting their asses handed to them. And on top of that, they got beat up. Yeah, Kyle, pretty much got beat your own game. Well, also the defense was calling out their plays and let the media know about it. Hey, so you got 128 days. You got 128 days. Okay? You think that's enough time to get this done? $128 days. Enough time. Yeah, I'll tell you what, too, Calvin. One of the shocking things. Okay. More than enough. What happened last year then, RC? RC. What happened last year? You didn't have enough time last year. And you knew what you were doing. RC. Why will it be different this time? Okay, so KP happened. Well, he says there's no reason to bring up last year. I say there is. Why would that be? Last year's done, he says. No, it's not. Because you did the same thing you did this year by hiring a guy who's never called plays. So it is relevant. It is relevant. You're doing the same thing by hiring a guy who's never called plays. Last year's done? No. You basically hired the same guy. He says that last year's done, but the coach made the same kind of hire with the same pedigree as a coach. How's that possible when you say last year's last year when you're doing the same shit over again? Bears did win the trenches in the Black Friday game. I think that was when it was determined that Jalen Carter's shoulders needed surgery. Big question will be whether he's fully recovered now. Eagles realized they had the wrong guy in the building and they overhauling it with the same guy. Quit it, Sills. You're making me lower my standards. I called for Hurts before anyone had an opinion. J Hurts 2026. There you go. Take your circle, brother. Hated when they let Nick Foles go. He just needed a good run game. Same thing as Hurts. Both quarterbacks are similar. They don't make any mistakes and live for the next play. Sills, next question is, how much patience will the organization have for Mannion if they don't perform offensively? Does he get 2-year leniency? No way. Here, let's go to this one here. Okay. So, who made this call? If the Eagles made this call, they must not enjoy winning. Do you agree? Joe had a lot of topics today. And Joe, here, the Eagles must not enjoy winning. Can you imagine this? Joe Krause starts a company. All of a sudden, you're starting to see success. Boom. You hit. And you're really starting to do well. You're doing well. All of a sudden, you have a down quarter. You have a down quarter. The first thing you do is knee jerk. That's how you panic. Or you may have another hidden agenda. It's one or the other. Or do you stay the course? I mean, if I have Jalen Hurts in the offense and I'm 50-18 and I know what I have, been to 2 Super Bowls, I've won 1, my quarterback has played well in both, why in the fuck am I changing? Why would I change course? I got the ship going well. We're heading in the right direction. All rudders are in. A little bumpy. It's not really a good ride. A little bumpy, but it gets me there. Hurts is like a car that is not perfect. You know, the engine light's on. You know that car. Car's really good. It's reliable. It gets you where you need to go. But the engine light's on. Burns a lot of oil. Burns a lot of gas. But it's reliable. And it gets you there. Why in God's name would you get out of that car? To test drive another car you're not sure of. Why would you do that? Make that make sense. Okay. The current path is not sustainable. So it's not a terrible take. So not Hurts season. You think this. They wanted to get ahead of it. Like they didn't want to do this. They didn't want the losing season. Guys, do you agree? They didn't want the losing season before the losing season without making the changes. They wanted to get ahead of it because they thought if they played the way they did last year, they would have a losing season. Is that how you think they're looking at it? Because you're right. I think that's how they are looking at it. Hey, I don't want to drive off the cliff. Right now, we're driving forward towards the cliff. I want to stop that process before we hit the iceberg. So you agree then, right, Ernie? They knew they were heading towards the iceberg this year with this style of play. Isn't that the only way you can come out of this? Is that they thought they were going to hit an iceberg this year. Wow. They believed they were going to hit the iceberg. So instead of aiming the ship at the iceberg, they're trying to come up with an alternate route to get to where they need to. Now we're figuring this out. They knew in their heart, the way the quarterback was playing right now, they were going to hit an iceberg. Is that fair? Right? They wanted to get this done now before they have to change quarterbacks in 26. They want to be 1 year in on the overhaul. Hurts will play 6 to 8 games, and he'll be sat down to keep fresh for a trade and bring a new quarterback after the season. Now, Sills, hear me out. Can it make a difference between a former player calling plays for the first time rather than being an assistant coach who never called plays? I would feel more apt with your way of thinking. If everything is equal, who played? He did. I'm going to take him. Yes. Yes. Now, if this guy was at the right hand of Sean McVay, it depends. Like here, I'm going to show you guys something here. Martin, watch this. How many people would like to have Josh McDaniels as your offensive coordinator in here? Watch this. How many people would rather have Sean Mannion over Josh McDaniels as a play caller? Who would rather have Sean Mannion over Josh? Oh, we know that. We know that. Even though he has nothing on his resume. Of course you would. That guy's got let me see how many Super Bowl wins as an offensive coordinator Josh McDaniels has. A truly great assistant coach. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Josh McDaniels has 6 Super Bowl rings as an offensive coordinator. And he's got 11 conference championships with 2 different quarterbacks going to the Super Bowl. And some of you would rather have, hold on. Welcome to the NFL. Tom Brady has 6 Super Bowl rings. Okay. That same coordinator, folks, just took Drake May to the Super Bowl. Who was his coordinator? It was Josh McDaniels. With no talent near the Eagle talent on offense. There's no Barkley. There's no AJ. There's no Devonta in New England. How did that guy get there? How did that guy throw for 31 touchdowns? Hurts has played in a season where he hasn't had a first-place schedule. How did that guy get to a Super Bowl? Only reason why I have high hope for Mannion is because he's a former player, okay? I don't think that's a bad take. Sills, what's your thoughts on a TMZ guy harassing Vrabel? There's a point where a man can take so much. I'm surprised Mike Vrabel hasn't kicked the shit out of him yet. I mean, where are you going with this? Diana Rossini's husband's leaving her. She's lost her job. Mike Vrabel's on the verge of losing his family. What more do you guys want? Oh, you probably want him to resign, which I pray he doesn't, because he's going to need his money after his old lady takes half. And some Eagle fans are probably that way because she called it that A.J. Brown was out, and you look like fools. We were telling you since January. There was no chance he was ever coming back. Sealed. With all things equal, you take the guy who played over a guy who, yes, I'm going to take the guy who played. I'm always going down that lane. Yes. Sills, that has to be the most overlooked accomplishment of McDaniels. We praise defensive coordinators all the time for 2 or 3 Super Bowl rings. Yeah, he's got 6. And Brady gives him as much credit as he does Belichick in developing him as a player. And then DFW, he takes Drake May to the Super Bowl. Josh McDaniels is a horrible head coach, but as a play calling assistant coach, he's one of the preeminent coaches in today's NFL in play calling. There's no better play caller. Why do you think he gets opportunities at getting interviewed for jobs? Because people covet the play calling head coach. He's a savant. Again, see this here? I just needed the greatest quarterback of all time and a cheating coach to get me my rings. Sounds like a guy, once again, who hates some other people's successes. Those guys didn't cheat at all in my book. Not one bit. And he went to a Super Bowl with another. He went to a Super Bowl with another quarterback. Do I think the Patriots cheated? Absolutely not. I know teams do that all the time. The Flakegate, stupidest shit I've ever seen. They went on to win 2 more Super Bowls after that. And Spygate, they went on to win 4 more. How fucking dumb are you? Oh, wait. There's a level of some of it in here. There's a difference between just play calling and leading men. That's where McDaniel sucks at it. I agree. I agree. As a play caller, he's spectacular. Josh McDaniels is a great play calling coach. I would put it this here. Sean McVay is not a better play caller than Josh McDaniels. The only play caller in the NFL today that's better than McDaniels, it's not Kyle Shanahan. It's probably Andy Reid. Kyle wilts 2 minutes into the half, 2 minutes at the end of the game. And some of the situational play calling, McVay gets a little conservative. I think he's better than Ben Johnson. By the way, I think those guys are good. I think they're good. But that guy's got a resume, bro. Hey, and think about this too. Who was he throwing to? Who was Brady throwing to when McDaniel's calling plays? Amendola and Edelman, who are just guys. Okay? That's right. Dead on. Okay? Dead on. Branch, Amendola, Welker. I mean, look at it. Look at those names. Those are little dudes. And they won 6 Super Bowls with those guys. Wes Welker, Amendola, and Edelman, and Deion Branch are the people they won Super Bowls with Gronk. Joyner was saying there has to be other teams out there inquiring about AJ. There's no way there are not other suitors with better offers on the table. Why is it only New England just to please AJ? Who says that's true? Hey, right now you're getting ready to set your roster for June. Right, guys? You just come off the draft. I know the Chargers are interested. I still think the Rams might be interested. I wouldn't put Kansas City out of it. You got time until June 1. You're going to see teams put things on the table. And you know what? Sitting here on April 30th, yeah, you're probably going to see a low market right now. But when you get into the position that, of actually moving him, what I don't get is the 28 compensation. No guaranteed money in 27 for Hurts. That seat will really get hot if he can't run Mannion's offense. Thanks for the super, my friend, Double O. Joyner's only saying that because him and D Gunn tripled down that AJ's not getting traded. Of course. They're made to be, they didn't have any insight. What insight could they have had? I talked to a guy who was in the building. And by the way, I'm no insider. I just happen to know a lot of guys. That's what Joe Krause brings that up all the time. How do you know all these people? Just being around it. People abuse people and pets a lot. And again, Vic changed his life the right way. Vrabel been doing his dirt for over 6 years. I have nothing but respect for Michael Vick trying to change his life. I'm a fan of Michael Vick. However, I'm an animal person, and I will never forget what he did because I rescue animals. Every single person in our house is a rescue animal. 3 cats and a dog. All rescue. And they're part of our lives. So I don't believe in abusing animals. However, I do believe in rehabilitation. Most of you don't really believe that in rehabilitation. You say you do, but you don't. Guy makes a mistake in his life. Should he be given, depending on what that mistake is, killing your kid or raping or whatever, there is limits to my forgiveness. I'm not God. So, for me, I give everybody a second chance. I give you a second chance. If you robbed a 7-Eleven and you didn't hurt anybody, I'd give you a second chance. I've told you this before. If you beat kids and you beat women and you harm animals, I'm out. Anything else is negotiable. Most of you don't change your life, and you don't believe in rehabilitation. You say you do. You're just lying to yourself. You don't believe in rehabbing. Sills, Henry Ruggs, what a really unbelievable situation that young man and the family he affected is going through right now. Would I give him a second chance? I would. By the way, he'll be eligible. I think he's eligible coming out of prison. Is Henry Ruggs eligible? Is Henry Ruggs eligible to restart his NFL career? If released from prison. Yes. Henry Ruggs is eligible to restart his NFL career. If released from prison, he's reportedly preparing for a potential comeback as of April 26th. Okay? Yes. By the way, guys, I want to tell you something here. I talked to Michael Irvin this last weekend, and Chris Sims is going to join us on Friday. I've been bringing this stuff up for 5 years about the quarterback. Before I get Coach Jason Brown, and boy, I'll tell you what, he's as hot as a fire iron. This guy is the GOAT out there, man. He is just killing it, and people love this guy. And he said it also on this program, and I'm going to say it again. Here's what the Eagles have been in a passing game the last 5 years. What Hurts running this offense? 28th, 9th. Great. Why were they 9th? He ran the ball for 800 yards. 16th, had 27 turnovers in 17 games. The year they won the Super Bowl, they were 29th in passing. This last year, they were 23rd. So you're telling me you're bottom 10 and you pay over $200 million in salaries on offense. You go out and you sign 5 new pass catchers. You change the offense and you hire a McVay guy. And you think you're going to turn that dude into Sean? You think you're going to turn Jalen Hurts into Matthew Stafford? It don't work that way. NFL players have stripes like zebras. You build around deficiencies, not change them. What do you think this is, high school football? Without further ado, I can't wait because we haven't talked to him in a while. He is our friend. Coach Jason Brown, he joins us right now. Coach, how you doing?
What's up, brother?
This a long time ago, dude. You said this a long time ago about Jalen Hurts.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Have you ever seen a number 1 wide receiver ever demand a trade from a top 5 quarterback in NFL history?
No.
You know why? It's never happened. I don't know why people keep bringing it up. I don't understand why people act like this is some crazy shit. No wideouts leave quarterbacks. Wideouts don't ask for trades away from good quarterbacks. They don't. Your boy Urban, he never left Aikman, did he?
Never. Never.
Did T.O. even leave McNabb?
I mean, here. Oh, they forced his ass out because the quarterback didn't want to hang with him. That's what that was. But, I mean, Coach, you tell me. Here's what's happened here. So you've hired 5 new pass catchers. You're going to Sean McVay's offense. You got a play caller who's never called a play again like you did a year ago. Help me out. What are they trying to send a message to with Jalen Hurts here?
Listen, I give credit where credit's due. I think the guy's a winner. At the end of the day, and he has been through whatever, 6 OCs or however many. The year that they were good, they ran an offense catered to him around a run game and O-line that predicated off RPO, move the pocket, get him out on boot naked, get him on the edge, and things like that. That was his most successful year. Didn't have to turn the ball over because you didn't ask him a lot. You didn't ask him to do a lot of downfield, anticipatory throwing window type of NFL throws that we require. We don't see that from him at all, and no matter who the coordinator was. Now that you hire a kid that's whatever, what is he, 29? How old? You're barking up a tree here, in my opinion, and I got a lot of buddies that are Eagle fans. I don't know what you did here to hire this guy and think this is going to be a good situation for not only A.J. Brown and trying to keep him if you were going to try to keep him, or Devonta Smith, or Goddard or Saquon or whoever else. And it doesn't make the offensive line job any easier, Dan, if we're sitting back here expecting Jalen Hurts to sit and destroy people from the pocket. You just said he has to run the football. He has to ad-lib. He has to be a guy with his feet, which allows his arm to work. In this particular, his skill set, you have to have his feet to make his arm work. He's not a pocket guy. He's not a guy that's going to throw the ball on time. And he's not a guy that's going to be accurate. We've seen him complete one football in multiple different halves in the season. You just don't see that from a big-time quarterback. And you just don't see wideouts demanding trades from a big-time quarterback, even the godfather of their own kid. So, listen, at the end of the day, the coordinator is going to be a telltale sign here, and I think it could be the beginning of the end of Jalen Hurts and the Eagles organization's relationship.
Wow. All right. You think Devonta Smith has the same impact on the upcoming Eagle offense in 26 with no A.J. Brown on that team? You think he can bring the same impact that A.J. has the last couple of years?
Not at all. First of all, he's a light-in-the-ass guy. He's a slot guy that you need to move around because you can't allow him to be the point man on the line of scrimmage and get his ass pressed up by a 220-pound safety or a backer or even a will backer at 200 pounds nowadays that the NFL has turned to be. We don't have 250-pound linebackers no more, Dan, and he still has a problem getting off the line of scrimmage if you put a point man on the ball. So if he's the guy that you have to sit still as your number one wideout, you got a problem. You got a problem in Philly with the wideout. And Mekhi Lemon, having watched him grow up out here in the West Coast, he's not that guy yet. He's not going to be the guy that you asked as a rookie to come in here and take the pressure off Devonta like AJ took the pressure off Devonta. Devonta needs to be the Robin to someone, Batman. He's not Batman. He's not Batman. He's Robin. And he's too light in the ass. He's too fragile of an athlete that has to be a guy you design plays for, not offenses around. Let's be really clear what I just said. He's a guy you design plays for, not offenses around. AJ, you devise an offense around, and then you have Smith implemented in there, and you can move him around and do things with him. If he's the number one, this might be a worse year for Jalen Hurts than we saw the last couple.
Okay, Mekhi Lemon, you gave us a little bit here. In your opinion, was it a good pick by the Eagles? Do you think it was a guy that you like? I mean, I don't know if Howie. I mean, I like the kid, but does he fit with the quarterback?
We don't know we don't know who sticks with Jalen Hurts, but I like Lemon. I think he can be a good. I think he's a great pickup. Look, Howie Roseman, Schneider in Seattle, and Snead in LA for the Rams. I think they're the best three, along with Kansas City's GM that's been unbelievable for a while. Veach, they've all been great. I think they're head and shoulders above everybody else. What you guys did what Philly did in the trade world, and what they did by stealing that pick, Lemon from the Steelers, all the things they did, I think he did a hell of a job. But Lemon doesn't, I don't think, address anything other than we know AJ's leaving now. This is just another fill-in wide receiver for that, because that basically tells everybody that he's gone. But I don't know if he immediately impacts your roster going forward to get over the hump and beating a Rams or Seattle, even though you guys have dominated the Rams in the regular season and in the playoffs head to head. I think that they have to get over that, that Seattle, LA, that West, that NFC West, I think is the strongest division in football right now. I think they're going to be a very, very it's going to be a hard hole to fill. You don't just grab wideouts that early unless, like the Titans did for a young quarterback, right? For Cam Moore, They went out and got Tate. That makes sense, right? Because it's a young team. Roster's not really, complete. We're building assets for the future. The Eagles have a complete roster. I would think they would have went after somebody that they probably needed a little more. But they said, hey, we're going to go steal this from an in-state rival Steelers. We're going to go get a wideout. And I think Roseman did that shit just as a dick measuring contest to tell you that I'm still that guy. That's what I think he did. I think he's that guy. I think Roseman's that guy. And I think he showed it. I'm going to go take a wideout from you, Steelers. And I think that's what it is. I don't know if it addressed a true hole. I think you could have did that in free agency with the older wideout.
That was a luxury pick.
I think it was a luxury pick for sure.
So here, Coach, you tell me this here: 128 days to install all this. Is that enough time? You got 3 months to get this stuff in here, and all these new pass catchers. You're going to want to try to have I would think, a screen game, which they've never had. I mean, when you talk West Coast, right, Coach? It's about the middle of the field. It's about spreading the ball around. It's winning on first down, maybe in the short passing game. That's what Brady did with all those. Brady won Super Bowls with checkdowns. He didn't win Super Bowls throwing deep. 128 days, is that enough?
It's going to come down to the installation calendar of that offensive coordinator who's 28, 29 years old. I'd be very, very intrigued to see what he does and how he installs offense. It's very as a guy that's installed offense forever, how are you marrying it up, Dan? And I don't think the common fan understands. So I'm going to marry up inside zone with my inside play pass or my RPO off inside zone. And then I'm going to put in my double option off of inside zone that Jalen Hurts runs so well based on whatever the crash 5 technique does. Then we're going to install from there our interior defensive line read game. So I might read the 3 technique on occasion, lock the 5 technique. That's all based off inside zone. I'm curious if he's going to just throw shit at the wall and see if it sticks. Put in inside zone, then we put in outside zone, and then we put in power. That fucks up O-line play, as you know. It's going to be very hard against various fronts to install these things in 128 days with new pieces around, and then AJ, a veteran, gone. Now I got to get Jalen Hurts to understand all this. And the new lingo, language, verbiage, all those things. What we classify the front as an O-line, what we classify this as and that as. Now I got to learn my new hots, who's hot, who's not. Side adjust. Am I re-ID on the mic? Am I sliding the protection away? We don't see Jalen do too much at the line of scrimmage, similar to Lamar Jackson we kind of see a wristband, get the call, go. We don't really see too much of Jalen Hurts other than a snap count variation. I'm curious to see what he does with the young offensive coordinator and how he adjusts at the line of scrimmage this year, based on, front, based on rotation of coverage, based on stemming of the front. Is he going to let Jalen control the line of scrimmage like a veteran quarterback should in the NFL, getting paid a lot of money? I haven't seen him do that, and I'm curious to see if that happens, because if that happens, that's now a lot more time needed, over 128 days. So this is going to be a rapid install. I'm curious to see how this goes based on the hours allotted that the NFL gives players and coaches to be together. How much can a guy be away from the coordinator? And with his wideouts and all that shit, that's fine and dandy. But if I don't know what I'm running and just out here throwing one-on-one routes with my guys on the beach, it's going to be a little bit of a struggle. And Brady always knew the offense, what was going to happen next year. Brady and those veterans we don't need to worry about a new offense. Let's get with our guys, go throw, and just be better personally. Jalen hasn't had that luxury because he's always worried about having a new coordinator, in fairness to him. So this is just another step backwards, in my opinion. And I don't know if a guy like Jalen Hurts can recover from that every single year and be successful.
Coach, do you agree when you're installing an offense, the number one coach that you have to talk to is your O-line coach? So wouldn't it make sense to keep one of the greatest offensive line coaches in NFL history in Jeff Stoutland and kind of like feed off of his? Or would you rather have had a clean slate, bringing a guy in and you dictating how I want those zone blocking and zone reads to look? I mean, there's two ways of looking at this, isn't it? I want a guy coming in to see my vision. I don't want to come in and have to pitch my vision to a guy like Stoutland. Do you agree that may have been a disconnect there?
Yeah, it's a great question. A lot of football guys would understand it. A lot of people that bag groceries do not understand what you're saying. Half your chat probably don't get it. Here's the thing. If I'm 28 years old, I don't know a lot of O-line guys that I can bring in, right? Because they don't know you. Because they don't know this young wet behind the ears kid. And not a lot of OG O-line guys want to go work with a 28-year-old kid, number one. Number two, the question you asked is very intriguing, because that is something I used to ask myself every day, not only as a head coach, but as offensive coordinator. Who's my O-line guy? That's my first hire, number one. First hire. Number two, am I going to take bits and pieces from him, or am I dictating everything? Protection, inside, what we call this, where we opposite this, our inside run game towards our outside run game. Am I running to the high technique on zone and the low technique on outside zone? Is that his philosophy? So we had to meet several times prior to hiring him, number one. I hope that occurred with Sirianni being the kind of the captain in this ship and saying, all right, how are we marrying this up? Coordinator, O-line guy. And then everybody else, I give a shit less about what the running back coach is or the wideout coach. If the O-line coach and the coordinator aren't on the same page, and if it's not the coordinator's call at the end of the day, Dan, in my opinion, you're going to have a problem. So if he doesn't have the end-all, say-all as the coordinator, even though he's young, there's going to be a problem. Because when the O-line guy starts questioning this young coordinator, either at practice or in games, you have another problem. And shit only rolls downhill, as we know. And then Sirianni's going to take the brunt of this whole thing because he hired a young coordinator again. You better be on the same page as far as what we call this and what we tag that and what we call the front and all that shit has to be accounted for, because if the coordinator is not happy, Dan, or comfortable calling the offense because he don't know the front because he allowed his O-line coach to name the front, now we got a whole philosophical group of differences here, and you could see a shit show happening real fast. So if I was a head coach and I hired a young old coordinator, I'm gonna say, hey, listen, man, how much do you know? And number one, number two, let's see what you call it, and let's bring in O-line coaches and go with what you call it, because you can't call the offense and call the plays and go with an offensive line terminology, offensive line coaches terminology. It just won't work.
Don't you think, Coach? Listen, man, thank God I'm talking to some people in here now, man, because some of these people just don't get this. I mean, so when we're going over these plays here, and we're going over the style of plays, and I'm talking to my offensive coordinator on what type of plays I'm looking to run, how important is that for both of you to be on that same page. Like, okay, when we're running here, because all of a sudden, coach, the head coach comes in, and I'm not saying, Nick, what people want to think of him as a bad coach, but you just said it. If I'm sitting here and I go, I believe the protections, I believe that this is the play, I believe that this route should be run here, and you got outside influences coming in, like that 4th and 11, where all of them were talking, and they went 4 verts, and you're like, what? How much does that become a problem when you don't believe in your own OC at the time, that the head coach comes in because he's never called plays? And as you know, situational play calling, bro, that's like having sex. You got to do it a few times before you're good at it. Yeah. And, that's not an easy putt to be a good coordinator.
Yeah, coordinating is not just done overnight. I'm so surprised they went back with a young kid, man, that really is wet behind the ears in this thing. Who's he? He's a former player. He's a former player. He comes out of the Sean McVay type of style, but he was up in Green Bay. And here's my problem too, Coach. He's only been a coach in the NFL for 26 months. He worked with Matt LaFleur, who he called the plays up there. That's who it is. It's a LaFleur guy. Yep.
He worked with LaFleur. LaFleur worked with McVay in Washington. Remember, they were all part of that tree in there. So they're talking about spreading the ball around. Maybe that's why the Stowers kid was drafted, because look at what they did with Tucker Kraft. I mean, this is really a lot of young and so much unknown here. Yeah, the good part about him is, hopefully, worst case, he relates with the players, number one, because he played and obviously he understands it. He got drafted 10 years ago. And maybe he has that it factor that the players like him and he can relate to him. Number one, he obviously knows football. He played it and got drafted. He knows it at a high level. I know he was a buddy of mine, knew him really well in college. So I'm interested to see how he operates. I know he was with my buddy Jonathan Smith, former Oregon State, Michigan State head coach. So I think he will have an it factor as far as the relationship building aspect of this whole thing. I think that's a good positive, and that's what I think Sirianni saw in him. Now, that doesn't make you a 3rd and long great play caller, or a 2nd and short great play caller, or a down and distance guy. A lot of these guys now go in here with scripted shit, 15 plays, and we're going to go with this. And, that shit changes real quick when you get sacked on 1st down. And I don't think people realize that. And then you start to throw shit at the wall and see if it sticks. I want to see, because the only thing that we really can be sure of, Dan, is experience matters. And if I haven't been in that alley alone at night, I don't know how to get out of there. Besides just scrapping and crawling out of there, I'm curious to see how he does it when the shit gets hard and it starts to get middle of the season and we're struggling. And then in the playoffs, D coordinators would get paid a lot of money. Now we have a book on you, meaning a resume from the season. So now, how is his adjustments going to occur from week to week, knowing that we're a playoff team every year? We have high admiration being a Super Bowl team on a roster that wins Super Bowls. Do you realize that D coordinators are going to change shit up in the playoffs? Is he going to be able to adapt and overcome all that as a young guy at 33 years old? I'm curious to see that as a first-time play caller. It matters. Couple more here for you, Coach. If you were advising A.J. Brown right now, and you're looking at the train wreck that's going on in New England, I know that if you do make the trade, you're doing it for Drake May, and you got Josh McDaniels. He's not going anywhere, no matter who they bring in. So I think he's one of the best play callers in all of pro football, if not the best next to Reed. He's just maybe not a head coach, but he can call plays, dude. All that being said, are you having second thoughts about going to New England now, not knowing what the status of that head coach? Because he may resign, Coach.
That's crazy. I don't know if it's going to be AJ's decision. I don't know. I think New England's the one having to balk on this. Because if New England takes them, now this is a Dirty Diana Rossini situation that everybody knew what was going on, right? Like, oh, shit, this was really her inside information. can Kraft afford to do it without a PR nightmare that they're already facing right now? That's the one I think AJ would go. It's going to come down to does New England pull the trigger now? Or is there an outside source in this, a team like the Rams or somebody else that was rumored to try to get them? Because the Rams will go after another wideout before the season.
Oh, yeah.
So, it's going to be interesting. I don't know if it's not more on New England to say we can't do it now. The cat's out the bag on this. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It might be, but AJ, I don't know. I think it's a foregone conclusion. They've already made the decision, right, to move him. Now, where does he go now? It's going to be very interesting. Then there's Pickens out there with Dallas. Can that be some sort of move? It's going to be interesting, man. I don't think Lemon's the only way that the Eagles get better and lose AJ. I think the Eagles still have to make a move too.
This whole thing with New England, have they sabotaged? First off, your takeaway on Rossini and Vrabel. I mean, just your takeaway on it and how the collateral damage is now really. It's more so on, to me, Coach. I do this, and I know it's coaches talk. Jason, but when you walk into a room and go, I'm looking for meta character, does that shit even matter anymore? I mean, is that just coaches talk? Is that for the people out in the real world to feel better about themselves? Does all this shit matter?
No.
Okay.
Jimmy's and Joe's, not X's and O's. Fucking go play and ball, and then nobody's just say nothing. Robert Kraft can go get a rub and tug all day long. Nobody cares. He's a judge, jury, and the executioner at the end of the day. Nobody's firing him, so he can do whatever the hell he wants to do. And he probably, and to be honest with you, I've had Willie McGinnis, good friend of mine, and other people on that on my show on draft night that we discussed this because they're Vrabel's boys and stuff and played together. They're like, JB, come on, we were in there dapping up Vrabes in the locker room as players. Hey, Vrabes, how was that shit? All that shit, right? But you can be a bad leader and a good coach. There is a such thing.
Oh yes,
and people don't really realize that because leaders, they create more leaders at the end of the day. The Sabans of the world and the Belichicks and the Parcells and all these, all Jimmy Johnsons and all these other great guys that we've seen, Pete Carrolls. You can be a bad leader though. I think Urban Meyer is a top 5 coach of all time. Bad leader though.
You think Bob Knight was a bad leader?
Could have been. You could consider him that. Bad leader, great coach, right? Bad leader, great coach. I just think Braves is a bad leader at the end of the day, but he's a good coach. And players like him. Players coach. But at the end of the day, man, you win, nobody cares. If you lose, he should resign. If he won the Super Bowl, let me just ask, if the New England Patriots are the Super Bowl champs right now with this, is it even as big as it is?
No way.
Nobody gives a fuck. Nobody cares.
No way. No way.
We're so hypocritical in life, man. I'm just going to be honest. We're hypocritical. And I think coaches now with TMZ and these cell phones, it's just more prevalent. We've had this before. This ain't the first time we've seen a guy going out on his wife and stepping around and pussy's undefeated, Dan. Let's just be honest. And there's only 2 things undefeated, pussy and new pussy. And obviously the new pussy got him. And listen, his wife's walking around with a wedding ring still on. At the end of the day, man, I think everybody involved knows what's going on. This is what it is. And it'd be very interesting to see. He ain't going to get fired over this. He did nothing illegal. And Rossini did not work for the NFL or the New England Patriots, unlike Udoka in Boston with the Celtics and Sharon Moore in Michigan with the Stafford. These are totally different situations. So people need to realize these are totally different scenarios. They're not the same at all. This is something between him and his wife and those players. If those players, that whole Ivy thing with the Chicago Bulls and Vrabel coming out and kind of going against Stevenson, his own running back, in his ideology, that's when you'll lose this locker, though, because you'll lose the locker because at the end of the day, no matter how good and how much of a player's coach you are, the players ain't turning on the players for a coach. They're going to be sticking to those players, and they're going to be like, wait up, coach, why are you going against our boy Stevenson? And then you go step out and do some shit when you have signs all over the facility that says, commitment and excellence and character and integrity, and then you're out here doing this in Sedona. I just think eventually, and remember, they have the hardest schedule in football this year. This ain't the schedule they had last year in New England. They got a really, really hard schedule, and it's going to be very interesting to see if this story trumps the season. And if you lose game 1 or 2 or 3, and you start the season off a few losses, this gets resurfaced. And then if this PI has more pictures and videos and how are we sure we're not just his guy drops a new picture every damn day?
This is a story that's being played out.
It's coming out. It's going to come out. It's going to be this guy's selling shit to the highest bidder. I know for a fact. So when the season starts, TMZ, here it is, $700,000. You want it? New York Post, here it is. You want it? $800,000. He's out here bidding these pictures up, and it's going to be a headache. I want to know from you, Dan, when does Kraft say this has become bigger than the organization? Even though it's not a fireable offense and it's nothing you did illegal, we got to move on. Because there are things that you get fired for or resign for that's called decorum violations. And there is a morale clause involved in some of these things that sometimes is such a bad PR move that organizations got to just say, we got to
conduct detrimental to teams that are in your contract.
We got to wipe our hands. And that's what I just don't know. If this story gets bigger and bigger.
I think your point is right on. I think the first week of September 5th, when the season starts, I never thought about it, but since they are targeting Mike Vrabel now, I got to think the first week of September, Coach, there's going to be a bombshell drop because doesn't it look like he's setting it up, whoever this is, this PI setting this up for something. You just don't keep releasing pictures like drab like this.
It's a shame, though.
At the end of it.
It is a shame, though, because I think coaches nowadays get the short end of the stick on this whole thing. With the NIL era in college, and these kids can bounce around with the portal and go to 8 schools in 8 years and take your money from a collective in college and then leave it and go to another place. And then the head coach is sitting there stuck with a guy like Texas Tech's quarterback Sorsby who gambles. I spent $5 million on him. Well, guess what? Now I'm holding my dick in my hand as the head coach without a fucking quarterback. So is he going to get some retribution? Is the coach going to get to go back in and get another quarterback? No, because the portal window's now changed, right? The NCAA, the Non-Carrying Assholes of America, got together and said, oh, no, we're going to do something again that only benefits us. Fuck you, players, coaches. So at the end of the day, again, we're going to see a coach get screwed over because we're in the player empowerment driven era. And the players are in what I call the jersey swap era. That's all they care about. They don't give a shit about competition no more. That's why they transfer and leave, and that's why they ask for trades now. They don't want to compete no more. And in the end of the day, what is this? What are we doing talking about fire him and all this shit? I see people in your chat. Fire Vrabel. What about Diggs? 8 baby mamas in fucking 8 months. What about fucking Tyreek Hill and all these players beating their girls and fucking DUIs and hit and runs? They continue to play. Man, miss me with that shit. So the coach goes and gets the pussy on the side, and now you want to fire him? That's a personal thing. He has to deal with God and his wife. It has nothing to do with that team and that organization, other than if you want to talk about detrimental to the team and it becomes bigger than my team, then that's an ownership group thing. But don't sit here and demand a firing, cancel culture, vulture ass cats, because these players that the league needs to play do way worse on a daily basis, and you ain't demanding them to be traded and cut. So I'm tired of hearing that shit. Vrabel, go get your pussy.
Hey, Coach, do you have a couple more minutes here? I have to ask you about college football. Do you?
Yeah.
All right. Now, I mentioned this, and you tell me if you think I'm off. I looked at this last draft and went, well, there's probably not. And I had a chance to talk to Nick Casario, and I looked at it, and I went, there's probably 150 players out of the 257 that are worthy of drafting. I said most of the good players are still in college because of nil. Dude, if I'm making $700,000 at the University of Miami, I'm not fucking coming out. To what? Take less money to get drafted in the 5th round? So am I right when I say this? And this is maybe why Howie is talking about getting a 28th compensation. I think the draft is going to catch up in about 2 years where the backload of all the kids that stayed, I think that's all going to, like, guys today that were drafted, say, 40, would probably be, in 3 years, they would probably be 5th rounders because the draft is going to be deeper. Do you see that's where college football is transitioning right now? Because the better kids, the depth of the draft is still in college, right? It didn't go into the draft. So in a couple of years, the NFL draft will be back where it was, like maybe in '83, where you had all those guys, those 6 Hall of Famers. It's going to be deep. A third rounder is going to be a really good football player for you. Do you see it working that way?
Yeah. So about 5 years ago, when I got out of college football and I broke this whole thing down, when the portal and NIL started right after COVID in 21, and we lifted all the rules, I knew we were going down the wrong path. We took away. So on every campus in college, and if you know this, it has gambling and tobacco use prohibited on campus, correct?
Correct.
Now, we all dipped and shit, and if you get caught, you got to deal with it. But it's an unwritten rule. That dipping ain't going to ever get you fired or cut, but if you do, and you could be, right? It's on the rules. In 21, they changed that rule right after COVID. And if you gambled before as a player or coach, you were automatically expelled forever. There was a kid named Deckers who played at Iowa State who the NCAA banned forever. He went to Iowa Western JUCO and ended his career. 4 years, the NCAA didn't allow him back in. He tried to enter the NFL draft as a highly touted player in college, going to Iowa State, and then gambled. Boom, done. If Sorsby comes back and plays, that guy automatically should sue, just like Jameis Williams did.
Quarterback, folks.
Yeah, Sorsby. If he comes out, I think he's going to sue the NCAA, because if Sorsby gets a chance after what that guy couldn't do, and he didn't even do nearly the 10,000 bets or whatever Sorsby's done, you're going to have a problem. You're opening up Pandora's box. Having said that, 5 years ago, I said the numbers are not going to work. In 10 years, that was 5 years ago, we're going to have a numbers issue, to your point, because we cut out high school recruiting and junior college is now imploded, where the talent no longer goes and gets rehab at a JUCO. We no longer get and we no longer develop high school talent. What we do is we poach the portal with 10,000 kids in it every year that just don't want to compete, got kicked out of school for whatever reason, or just bitch made and they just leave because they get yelled at, right? So now they're sitting in a portal. That portal well is going to run dry really quickly here in the next 2 years. It's sheer numbers. 131 D1s. You add 100 man to a roster. Let's just say 131 times 10. Do the roster. Do 100. Do the math. Eventually, when you don't recruit high school talent and develop that high school talent and allow these kids to get older and matriculate through a portal and sit here at 25, 26 years old and been to 4 schools, you're going to run out of the true blood life, which is high school and junior college talent that we've always depended on to fulfill those roster spots. Look at what's happening, Dan. 39 kids in the last 4 years have retired from the NFL at 27 years or younger. That means they were playing till they were 24 and 5 in college. They get drafted. They go to the NFL. The Bears center retired this year at 27 years old.
Coleman.
There's been 39 of these cases in the last 4 years, the highest of all time. I said it before and I said it again. This is what you're getting. This is the product. You're getting older college kids moving around, don't even get their damn degree, number one, moving around. And when they get to college, guess what? They already made millions of dollars in college. When they get to the NFL, they don't have an investment to be better, or the dream is no longer the NFL and make millions of dollars. They already made it. Why do you think the draft picks are buying their parents fucking $2 million cars and houses and shit already as a rookie? This is going to run dry. You're going to have a major quality issue in the NFL, which I've been calling for the last 5 years. Quarterback plays at all-time low. The play of the game specifically is at all-time low. You add that with the soft Roger Goodell rules, the helmet condoms, the kickoff rule. Look at everything that's been happening here. And you see a trend, flag football and the fucking Pro Bowl. Just look at all the shit that's happening. You're going to have a major issue in the NFL soon, because we just don't have a blood life support line no more. In high school football, when you cut it out and you stop recruiting them and you stop putting kids in JUCO, the talent level now is deteriorating. A lot of folks don't see it. They don't understand what I'm saying. but it's the truth. And a lot of D1 coaches I talk to will back that up 1,000%. They see it every day. That's why you got more guys leaving now than ever as coaches and going into other places. That's why the Jay Wrights and the Krzyzewskis and the Sabins and all these guys say, hey, I'm out of here. I'm not dealing with this shit. When in your life, Dan, have you seen a Power 4 head coach and Chip Kelly leave a head coaching job and go be a coordinator at Ohio State because he don't want to deal with this shit? Or Halfley at Boston College leaves a head coaching job to go be a coordinator in the NFL. Yeah, it is a step up NFL-wise. It ain't a step up when it comes to professional. When you go down the line and say, wait, well, you left a head job in Power 4 to go to be a coordinator? Now he's a head coach in the NFL. It worked out for him, but that's a 1%er. That's an anomaly. We're seeing guys trying to get out more than we've ever seen before. And if these guys can make the money they're making in college football working at Walmart, they would. And I've been told that.
Coach, for you, do you think it's harder to be recruited out of high school today than it is like back in the day? Because as you just said, I'm going to go get the sure thing, man. I'm going to go get a kid from USF and bring him in my football program because he was at a minor league program. USF is in a non-power 5. Look at what Signetti did. He brought 13 guys in from James Madison into Bloomington. I think what's going to be is going to be the encore. Let's see how he does now after. I see a lot of guys going into Bloomington. Believe it or not, 8 guys got drafted out of Indiana and none out of Colorado, which is incredible. So, I mean, I don't know. Do you think it's tougher to come out of high school today and get a scholarship?
Yeah, COVID did this in so many things, not only society with small business depletion and killed everything in society, in my opinion, but college football got affected really, really directly, whether it was indirect by them or not, but it happened and it affected them in this way. When high school football players no longer needed to pass the ACT or the SAT during COVID, and they took away the sliding scale, which we all had to have to get a scholarship, what happened was they eliminated the rule. You have a 2.0 now and whatever. They did that because the portal was running so rampant and you had 8,000 to 10,000 kids in it. You didn't have to.
Wait a minute, Coach. You don't have to. Wait, Coach. You don't have to get 750 and a 2.0 on your GPA any longer. That used to be the minimum. You used to get 750 and had a 2.0 get with your transcripts to go into college. You're telling me they got rid of that?
For 4 years, and it just came back as far as the SAT score. Okay. Now it's back. It's back in now, in effect. So when you eliminated that, though, that told everyone we're just going to use the portal as our blood life. Those 4 years right there depleted the actual foundation of our sport and getting new blood into it, which was high school. Because those high school kids, you had 3- and 4-star kids who never got scholarship. Even though you didn't need to pass the ACT or the SAT, they were sitting there, and instead of going JUCO, those kids set out year after year hoping to get on a college football roster if somebody got hurt or if the portal thing imploded. Well, the portal thing only grew. Those high school kids never even went JUCO. Now those kids are 4 years removed. Now you're seeing 8-year college kids, 8- and 9-year kids in college, 26, 27 years old. The 49ers got older in the draft, Dan. Have you ever seen that?
I did, man.
Have you ever seen that in your life?
No.
The 49ers got older. They got a 25-year-old running back who, by the way, is 5 years younger than CMC, who we seem to feel like, damn, this guy's been in the NFL forever, gone through wars. And this guy they drafted is only 5 years younger than CMC. They got a pass rusher out of Texas Tech who's 25 years old. How do you get older in the draft? And this is supposed to be like beneficial? This is going to make the NFL better? Hell no. It's making it worse. And I've been saying it for 4 and 5 years. This is going to be that 4-year gap that you took away all that and you didn't recruit high school kids is going to end up biting you. And I have 2 more years on the clock before we absolutely see the opening of Pandora's box being irreversible. You'll never be able to go backwards. And the NCAA right now is trying to figure out, how do we put the pace back in this tube? They can't. They screwed this up. They didn't forward think this at all. And this is what's going to bite them in the ass. And then when you don't have the rehab, which we call JUCO, football gel, that I'm familiar with, you don't have the talent that we used to have in JUCO anymore because everyone sits in the portal. Now you don't have no safe haven. Now I can't go build a roster overnight. Now I got to bring 20 guys from James Madison to my school, try to win it 1 year, And then what am I doing? Now I'm back to what? Look at it. How many quarterbacks have we seen in college football lately? I think there's been one non-transfer quarterback that's actually won the Natty. Every single quarterback that's won in the playoff era has been a transfer quarterback.
I think the last 4 Heisman Trophy winners have had a transfer. Yeah, I do. Finally for you here. Give me 3 teams you liked in the draft. I mean, did you make sense of what they did with Ty Simpson at 13 in Los Angeles? It seemed, if you're all in, I mean, I don't know. Maybe they're looking for the future. I don't know if McVay thought that was the future. I thought the Cowboys getting Caleb Downs was pretty good, and them getting that kid. I mean, give me 3 teams that you like that you came out of this draft.
I think the Houston Texans had a very underrated draft. They addressed the holes they needed to address. The Raiders, I think, in overall addressed the most needs of any team. They had tremendous needs in the secondary, tremendous needs at linebacker, tremendous needs at certain holes that they filled. They got the Ravens center in the offseason. They addressed some O-line issues to help Genty out. And then they went and got Kirk Cousins. I think the Raiders had the best offseason, quiet as kept. And then they fulfilled those in the draft in the need positions. Cleveland did an actually good job towards the back end. I don't know about the other quarterback. It just makes no sense to me. It tells me that they're going to trade Shedeur Sanders at the end of this thing because you don't trade a 3rd round Dylan Gabriel, especially after.
Did you see who's the number 1 on the depth chart right now? It's Deshaun Watson. It's number 1 right now on the depth chart.
It should be talent-wise. It should be if he looks like anything near what he did in Houston. I like what the Texans did. I like what the Cowboys did. I like what the Chiefs did. I like what the Browns did. The 49ers had the worst draft, in my opinion. I don't know what they're doing there. And they got older.
What do you think of the Eagle draft?
I think he did a good job. Again, Philly, I don't think Roseman's ever going to not have a good draft or do something to manipulate the draft, meaning get a trade from Vikings like he did and fleece them. And he always seems to fleece somebody. And then he took that, he stole a pick and moved up. And then what's, again, jersey swap era. You and I never used to see opponents in the same division make helpful trades to each other.
Never.
We've seen the Eagles and the Cowboys do it. We saw the Giants and the Redskins do it.
They
I'm like,
did it before with Devonta. Remember, they switched out of that and they traded to get Devonta.
Yeah, I'm just like, what the hell are we doing here? I've never seen that before. Who else? I thought the Dolphins in the beginning. I was like, what are they doing? Another Miami, and then they had the most picks. I think at 13 picks overall, they had the most in the draft. The Ravens did a really good job. I thought they had 11 picks, second most. They did a really good job. I don't know. Tampa Bay, I thought they did a decent job.
Hey, the Reuben Baines story. Reuben here, Coach. I know him very well. I played with his uncle, Tolbert Bain. He asked me when he was getting interviewed. I said, do me a favor, kid. When they ask you the question about the accident, and then if I were you, I'd bring up the other accident. People don't realize there was 2 accidents. It wasn't one. He was involved in another one. And I said, own it. Well, I heard there were a couple. Lonzo Highsmith told me there were a couple teams he didn't want to talk about it. And I'm like, that's not going to cut it with some of those teams. I had him between 7 and 15 anyway, maybe, that he would go in there. Do you think that paused what a lot of people thought maybe he should have been a top 10? Do you think there was an issue there with that? And did you have a concern?
No, I thought I heard some crazy rumors, and it goes back to your Eagles. I heard it was Jalen Hurts' agent that leaked that whole thing, the female. That's a whole nother story because he didn't choose her to be his agent. So that is one thing that your audience may want to know. That's juicy, and that's a fact, by the way. Number one.
Wait, what? You're not getting over on that. Hold on. You're telling me Nicole Lynn, in your opinion, what some of your sources are saying is that Nicole Lynn, you believe that Clutch Sports, because he didn't go with Clutch and he went with Rosenhaus, was the reason that story got out a week before the NFL draft.
It was the reason it got out. So that's number one. Number two, why nobody knew about it before. So anyway, number one. Number two, his arm length was absolutely the main reason, because it was a civil matter after the criminal thing was dropped. It was a civil thing. The NFL don't give a shit about that. I mean, come on now. Look at what we've had drafted here the last few years and what happens every year. Again, going back to the Vrabel point about players doing what they do in the offseason, from assault to DUI to hit and run, they still play. I mean, we saw James Williams gamble. He missed some games, and he gets right back in it. Waddle. I mean, look at the guys that have done things. So that's not a big issue. The big issue is his arm length. And I've had Willie McGinnis and all these guys that 36, 37-inch arms, and you know how it is. We're talking edge. We're not talking a 3-tech or a shade. We're talking edge who has to take on the wrong arm and has to make sure he's a guy now in this current football that gets read a lot, right? I got to be able to redirect and catch the quarterback if he pulls the ball. Well, guess what does that? Arm length. And he's not a hybrid guy where I can drop him into the flat and run some fire zone stuff. He's not that type of guy. He's not a true hybrid backer type, right? We haven't really seen him do that other than he's being drafted as a pass rusher. Well, most pass rushers, I haven't seen any. To Willie's point, and my other guy, Braden Fajoko, who played 9 years in the league, they're like, dog, his 31.5-inch arms are not going to get it done. That's where you're going to see the drop. And top 15 for a guy with those arms, pretty damn good still. So I think he should be happy, all things considered, that where he went. And I think he went to the right place in Tampa.
I swear to God, this is the last one. I swear to you, Coach.
You're good.
I have everybody in Philadelphia always argue with me about Dak Prescott. If you're building an offense right now and you're starting from scratch, a new offense like Philly wants to, would you rather have Hurts or would you rather have Dak Prescott as your quarterback?
I'd rather you pillow me off. So I don't have to answer. I think Dak is the most overrated, underdeliverer, overpaid quarterback in the history of football. Number one. Number two, I think Jalen is a system guy. If you take Jalen to the Dallas Cowboys, you think he looks bad now. He would look horrific. He'd be in the UFL. So it doesn't, to me, it does. These are two different types of situations.
You hate this question, I can tell.
I mean, it's like two different situations. You can't take Jalen Hurts to any other place. You can't.
Like, you don't think there'd be a trade market for him?
No. Who's going to take him? Is he the athlete that Kyler Murray is? Yes or no?
No way.
Not even close, right? How many people wanted Kyler Murray? Nobody.
Right.
Just think about it. Kyler Murray, who was a freak of nature back here, running around all day long, got a cannon, all that shit, but he's 5'9", mental midget, whatever you want to say. Nobody even wanted him. You think they're going to go after Jalen Hurts like that? No, they're not. I mean, AR5 showed you could be a freak athlete. Nobody cares. And Lamar Jackson hasn't won a Super Bowl yet, either as Josh Allen. So guess what? The freak of nature quarterback doesn't seem to win a lot of Super Bowls, do they? So at the end of the day, what do you think the trade market would be for a Jalen Hurts in a traditional system? Take away Saquon Barkley, take away, for the most part, a best O-line in football for as many years.
No way.
And take away the system, RPO, double and triple option, and go run traditional under center somewhere. Who's going to take them?
The Jets.
I mean, the Jets will take you and I. So I just don't. Listen, the truth hurts, man. It doesn't matter who says the truth. The truth is the truth. And no matter who says it.
People in Philly don't want to hear what you just said.
Oh, I know. I love it.
They just don't. When we post this segment here, when you say there's no trade market for Jalen Hurts, you watch. Oh, yeah. You're telling me that if this guy – and do you believe 2026 will be the final season for him?
I think it's going to be an impasse because the coordinator, the young kid's going to come in. Jalen's going to say, listen, man, how many times am I going to have to play for, in fairness to him, how many times I got to play with another coordinator? So I think he has every right to question that. And if A.J. Brown and these other guys can ask for outs, I think Jalen Hurts has the ability to do it. I mean, we've seen it before. So I think he should. He can be a guy that says, hey, "This has been a great run. It's time to move on." I just think that's what's going to happen here after this. And you know, we saw Peterson win a Super Bowl, and a year later was fired. I wouldn't be shocked if Sirianni doesn't get it done again. that he's gonna be on the hot seat. This is Philly. This isn't fucking Sacramento. You know what I mean? Like this is Philadelphia. They want to win, and if you don't win now, guess what? It's a result-oriented business there. You got to win right now. What have you done for me lately is what Philadelphia's about.
But you just said something about Nicole Lynn. She's not going to let her client go down some rabbit hole over some new offense. And if A.J. Brown's not there and all of a sudden this thing starts flipping around and it starts looking bad for their client, if she's that sinister, bro, she's not going to let Jalen Hurts die on the vine here. So what you could say is this. Don't you think this could get ugly by midseason if this thing's not looking better? Because if she's that sinister, what she did with Ruben, she's going to make sure she sets the yellow brick road for Jalen Hurts.
But I think that yellow brick road starts and ends in Philly. She knows that. She's got to keep all things good there, because without that system and without the catering that you cater to Jalen Hurts right now, because he has you by the balls right now. You got a contract, you paid him, and he won a Super Bowl, and he performed well in both.
And no trade clause.
No trade clause, and he performed well, and 300 yards in the first one they lost, and then the second one they dominate, and he won. He has all the, I think, playing cards right now. I think he controls the narrative right now. Eventually, the noise will become so loud that he will say, all right, let's go find a place. Some of you guys in your chat are like, you're crazy. He'll have all kind of people. Name them then. If you know so goddamn much, show me your resume, number one, and then show me, number two, name me the places that will salivate over getting Jalen Hurts in a trade. Go. I'll wait. You can put the ticker on.
No.
Nobody wants Arizona, maybe?
No. Maybe. But I think they want to get away from that style now. I think they want more traditional there.
Think about it. Kyler Murray couldn't get a guy named Cedric Wilson, or what's his name, Wilson, the ball. Trey McBride was second to Nakua in catches in the NFL last year. Guess who gave him those? Brissett, not Kyler Murray. They were better throwing the ball with a guy in the pocket that can get rid of the ball on time. Yep. They said, Kyler, go ahead. Get out of here.
Yep.
Jalen Hurts doesn't go there with all those wideouts, and Harrison Jr. Finally showed something when Kyler left. They don't want another one at Kyler Murray. So Arizona's out. Who else? Carolina's out. Bryce Young, same type player to me. Who else? I'm just looking at Baker leaving Tampa soon. Maybe Atlanta? Outside thing. Atlanta. Penix, another injury away. I don't know. Where's he going to go start?
Man.
Come on, man.
I never thought about that there'd be no market for him.
There's no market. Unfortunately, no market.
No coach is going to start a system like that with a quarterback that here, this right here. Houston would take him. Hurts his hometown.
Shut the hell up. God damn. Shut up. Some of you guys just got to go make me a sandwich. Some of you guys got to go make me a sandwich. Shut the hell up. Go make me a sandwich. Shut the hell up. Are you kidding me? CJ Stroud, by the way, has more playoff wins than Lamar Jackson already. He just has to have not so horrible games when he loses. He just needs to have bad games. When he loses, he has horrible games. But CJ's up for a contract extension. He'll get it. My kid, Tank Dell's back this year with him, his best friend, who makes CJ a lot better. He's missed the last year and a half. You have a great wideout core already in Houston. If CJ can figure it out and become what he was as a rookie, CJ's a top 5 ball spinner in the NFL. Jalen Hurts ain't no goddamn ball spinner like CJ Stroud. Stop. Number one, they're not taking Jalen Hurts in Houston. Dallas, how long does Dak have left? Maybe he still probably has 5 more years. Probably still has 5 years total. Yeah. But I mean, 2 legit, maybe, because Dak Prescott's a unbelievable regular season quarterback. He's horrible in the playoffs.
I'm going to tell you who I want on your program. I'm going to send you Coach Cristobal's number.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I want you to I'm going to send you his phone number because I think you and him would have a fun time.
Yeah.
I think
Nah, me and Mario used to talk a long time ago. But shit, when he was at Oregon, he was recruiting a couple of kids of mine in Indy. Jermaine Johnson, obviously, who's with the Titans now, was a first rounder with the Jets.
I think you like him.
Mario's a good dude, yeah. And I've known him when he was Alabama when he was O-line guy.
Yeah, he's the O-line coach there, right?
Yep.
Coach, tell the folks where they can find you, man. Thank you so much for finding time for me, man. Hey, by the way, I got to get you on my Sports Grid show. That thing's got over 5 million people watching it right now. It's doing really well. And
where's that at?
It's on Saturday. I got it. They hired me. I got a new TV show on Saturdays now as well.
Nice.
So I'd love to have you on that thing, man, because I see all the big celebrities on your show. We got Ice Cube coming up too. I think next week. So, Coach, tell people where they can find you.
Yeah, man, the Coach JB show with Big Smitty every morning, man. 6 a.m. on the West Coast on YouTube, and then all the social media stuff, man. Shit, I don't even know my handles no more, man. But you'll find me. Just go look up. Make me a sandwich.
Coach, thank you, man, for your time, bro. I love you, man.
Always.
Thank you.
All right, brother.
You got it, man. That is Coach JB, man. I love him. I said yesterday, too, I go like this to him. I go, hey, you got a couple minutes? He goes, Sills, absolutely. We're good. And I was like, man, that's dope. And I appreciate it, man. He's got a gigantic audience, too. And for him to take time with me, man, I really appreciate that. So let me read some of these supers here. And by the way, how about some of that news about Nicole Lynn? I told you guys, she's not going to let Jalen Hurts go down some rabbit hole. But you know what? He's also right. Coach knows how many lanes does Jalen Hurts have and how many places he can go to. And he don't have a lot of places that he can land. I agree with him. There's no way there's an open market for that guy. Houston would take him. I do not believe that 1 second that they would. No way. Stroud sucks, brother. Hurts is better and could do more. No. Hurts has more talent around him right now. That's what he has. Holy cow. I can't wait to tweet that out after the program. So Nicole Lynn, okay? Jalen Hurts' agent, he believes is the one that spread that information about Ruben Bain. That's one sinister human being. For him to say that, I'm going to tweet it and at him and her. That's a sinister conversation. That's Jalen Hurts' agent. I will bet my monthly paycheck against yours that there'll be at least 5 teams in on him. And I bet your monthly income is similar. Hey, Carmine, where are you sending him? I agree with Coach. He's probably got 1 team, maybe. This guy's not going to. Name me where a good quarterback is where you would take him over. You wouldn't take him over. I'll bet you anything. The Buccaneers would never take Hurts over Mayfield. They're going to pay that guy $55 million. Jason Light said it yesterday. We're not going anywhere but with Baker Mayfield. Face to face. Not what that means. Face to face what? Justin Jefferson would ask for a trade after 1 season if Hurts were here. Okay. Carolina, Cleveland, Minnesota, Atlanta. Carolina, no. Cleveland, maybe. Minnesota, no. In Atlanta, maybe. They got Baker. No shit, Sills. It's a no-brainer, respectfully. Thank you, my friend. You could tell that there's most bad teams rather tank than give up anything for Hurts. Let's see here. I thought that was some interesting comments that Coach said. There'd be no trade market. Joe, we got to have that as a clip. There'd be no trade market. There'd be no trade market. How about that there, Sue? Polish those shoes now. Multiple teams would take Hurts because availability is the best ability. Too many quarterbacks getting hurt these days, Sills. Let me see something here. Okay, let's see here. Let me look up Jacoby Brissett. Jacoby Brissett. I like when people go over to my X account and start like comparing Patrick Mahomes to Jalen Hurts. It's quite funny, actually. So let's see here. Man, Jacoby's been in the league 10 years. He's got 1 year where he threw for one. He's got last year he threw for 3,300, 23 touchdowns and 8 picks. Shit, he had just as good a year as Hurts last year. 3,300 yards. He had 315 completions. Holy cow. Look at that. Jacoby Brissett still just like stirring up the pot. That's not true. Or maybe a little. Teams rather have Josh. Seth put on a masterclass yesterday. He told it like it really is. I'm sure he didn't. He's a mouthpiece. Seth Joyner's a mouthpiece. We play the game both ways. I'm saying the money would be given in an envelope, Paisans. You mean with the face, right? Hey, Carmine, you know when you were a kid and your Uncle Richard came up to you and he handed you an envelope and you saw the Ben Franklin and you knew the guy with the C note and you knew the link. When he saw Lincoln, you were like, But when you knew the guy with the 100, the Hamilton, and you saw the Hamilton guy, you're like, well, it's looking good. Hamilton's right there. Right? Carmine's gotten money envelopes before. Come here, kid. How you doing? Holy shit, there's a Hamilton. My uncle always put Hamiltons in. That's my aunt. Always Hamiltons. Or you'd get a stack. Like somebody was running numbers. Sometimes you get a big envelope. It's like this. You're like, it's got 5s and 1s in it. What is this? And sometimes you get the new crisp $100 bills. My Uncle Junior was a big fan of doing that. How you doing? Love you too, brother. Hey, how you doing? Hey, right? No idea what you're talking about. I only heard that, so the hell would I know? I didn't know that Jalen Hurts' career completion percentage was 78%. Reason why it's the lowest in the NFL at 38% is because he never asked to do it. Okay, well, it's just said this. He's successful at throwing across the middle of the field, yet he's the worst quarterback at volume doing it. And yet he's never been asked to do it. And that's why you go West Coast now, because you're going to do it in year 7. Oh, okay. Okay. Sure. Being available is more important than being able to make incredible throws. Really. So you'd rather have Jacoby Brissett as your quarterback than Joe Burrow. Is that right, David? Is that what you're saying? You'd rather have Jacoby Brissett as your starting quarterback than Joe Burrow. Solid take. But wait, is there a market anywhere for Coach B? Hey, don't get personal that your boy said your quarterback doesn't have a market. Get a little butthurt. Somebody says an opinion, then you throw that at him original. Come on, kid. Last chance you, Coach. Jason Brown resigned after allegedly sending "I'm your new Hitler" next to a German player. Bleacher Report. That's a dick move by you, dude. Because he said your boy didn't have a trade market, you go there. You're one of them internet assassins, ain't you? That's a damn shame. I started liking you again. What a sad thing. That's where you went? Guy said Jalen Hurts didn't have a instead of blowing it off and laughing, you go down there, right? Okay. How uncool is that? I know the guy's got issues in his past. I know the guy has some things and said some things. I know that. I like somebody who says something, good or bad. Hold on, let me get that. Carms and I, dad and uncle, used to shake the cards first. Yep. Hey, Kim, we would do this. My cousin Kevin and all my cousins, Mickey and Timmy and all that. You look down there, you go, ooh, I got a Hamilton. And if it's thin, it's usually better. If it's thick, it's not. Because kind of it's like a guinea roll. You know what a guinea roll is? It's like 320s wrapped around like 51s. That's like a guinea roll. Hey, look at this. I got a roll in my pocket. Wow, look at that. You go 20, then all of a sudden you got 51s. No. And it's in a rubber band. Yeah, it's in a rubber band. Seals, cheating on your spouse is pretty slimy. And your boy you had on just tried to discount it. No, that's not what he did. He's telling you it doesn't matter in the NFL. Me and you in real life, yeah. In the NFL, that don't mean shit. That doesn't mean shit, dude. So Manning is from the Packers. Packers passing percent over the middle was 40% versus Hurts 38%. I don't think the offense is changing too drastically different. Really. So West Coast offense is throwing the ball across the middle of the field more. Okay. So then, David, where are you getting better then? Then where are you getting better? You downgraded at wide receiver. If you get rid of A.J. Brown and you line up with Devonta Wicks, Jalen Hurts, and Meadowlark Lemon, that's a downgrade from Dotson, Smith, and A.J. Where are you getting better? Where are you getting better than personnel-wise? Sills, you see Lemon is wearing number 9. Number 9. Woo. He's wearing number 9. Hey, there's Bird Brain. Good to see you back, Bird Brain. Come back to get your ass kicked again, huh? They're getting better by moving off a player who isn't locked in, is a distraction, and isn't as versatile. All those things may be true. The loss of Coach Stoutland guarantees this offense will change dramatically. He was only constant over the years. You know what? I did bring that up with Coach, though. Hey, Bob, do you want an offensive line coach that you have to sell your vision on? Or do you want a coach that you could just tell what my vision is, like Chris Cooper? I think that's what the Eagles decided on. They'd rather have a coach. They want the coach to block this way instead of having to sell it to Stoutland. Where's Bird Brain? There he is. Triggered much? Triggered. Some douchebag at 4:38, somewhere sitting in his mom's basement with cookie crumbs on his chest, reading right now, half shaved with a guinea tea on in his old lady's drawers, sitting there going like this. I triggered him. Oof. Good for you, kid. I'm glad that's a win for you. Got a big old picture of Big Sills on your ceiling, I guess. Number 9 is Nick Foles' number. Woo! Stout wasn't involved. Here, hang on. Sills isn't even wearing pants. Why in God's name would I wear pants talking to you? I have no respect for you. Oh, my God. Oh, man. Let's see here. Let's see. Hold on here for a second. Dan Sileo's like 3 feet tall. No, not 3 feet tall, but there is something 3 foot. Let's see. There's Bird Brain. Sills homies refer to themselves as Hitler, Jesus. That's like calling black players monkeys. I love these guys. These guys think you're going to hide under your desk when you got a bird brain like this. Bro, that shit doesn't work anymore. It's over with. That shit don't scare people anymore, dude. How you doing, bird brain? Remember, you're here every day. You're here getting your ass kicked every day. Sills, if you can't sell your experienced offensive line coach how you're going to sell the vets on the line, it's a great take. That's a great take. You're right. Sills, do you think this new tackle from Miami can play? Right tackle or left tackle? Good swing tackle as a rookie. First got to beat Fred out. That's what I told him. Okay? I told him this. I like the kid a lot. I think he's got good upside. I do. And I think he could be a player. I get this. I got more confidence in Bell than I do in M. Reyes' new boyfriend, Chris Cooper. That's his new guy. M. Reyes' new hero is Chris Cooper. He's the new legendary O-line coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. Well, he better be. Because you know what you got going on this year? You guys have already put it down on tape. You think that Lemon's going to have the same impact that Devonta did his rookie year, and that this new offensive coordinator is going to be better than KP, and that you think this new offensive line coach is going to be better than Jeff Stoutland. You guys are on the clock. Stout wasn't involved in the game plan last year after week 3, and they still won 11 games. Think about this for a second too, David. Like I told you, after Liars Month, you were a 500 football. You were an under 500 football team. After the first month of the season, the first 4 weeks, you were under 500 or 500 as a football team. If you look Seattle 2024 offense on paper, you wouldn't have said 2025 roster on paper they downgraded completely. But look how things played out. Well, yeah, they got a quarterback that could throw the football. Here, get this. Here's the difference, dude. Here's the absolute difference. Here, watch this, Sam Darnold. Here's Sam Darnold. So, last 2 years, Sam Darnold has thrown for 8,400 yards and 60 touchdowns. Okay? And 67 completion percentage. Well, how many completions? 4, 8, 684 completions. Now, let's take a look at Hurts's and what he's done the last 2 years. When the offense has been atrocious in the passing game. Here's Hurts's numbers the last 2 games. 2 years. 203. And what was he? 32-24. Like I said, Brissett looked better. Okay. So 7,000 passing yards versus 8,400. How many touchdowns? 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. He had 43 touchdowns to 60. And how many completions? 248 to 294. 9, 10, 11, 12, 14. So Sam Darnold had 690 completions. Hurts had 542. Talk to me about offenses when you looked at least Darnold could throw the ball around. I'm not into passing yards. Well, your football team is. See this here? This is everything what look at Philadelphia saying. Everything he's saying is against what the team is doing. I'm not into passing yards. Well, your coaching staff is. Your general manager is. They just hired 5 new pass catchers. 5 new pass catchers they just hired. They went and got a West Coast coordinator. Somebody is in the passing yards. I mean, somebody is in the passing yards. Oh, Darnold's in his 8th year. I thought you meant 8th team. Shitty winning football games. Okay. Carmine, shouldn't winning football games be the only stat that matters? Hurts wins. Okay, then why are they changing? Why are they adding new offensive pass catchers and a new coordinator? Why didn't they just keep Kevin Patullo and run the same shit back? You won 11 games. You won 2 NFC East championships in a row. Why wouldn't you run it back? And by the way, to some of your points, with that 11 wins, Carmine, you've won 25 regular season games and lost 9. Why wouldn't you? Why would you make such cosmetic changes all across the board? And, Carmine, the most important thing, why would you get rid of AJ? Well, you're going to have to take that more up with Coach Brown. He's the one that said there'd be no market. The offense needs to evolve. In year 7, with a different, hey, Carmine, this isn't evolving. This is changing. Evolving is, excuse me. Evolving is Patrick Mahomes and Matthew Stafford in a particular offense. That's evolving. Hurts wins because the team goes in massive cat depth to help him. Get this. Look at this guy. Schemes change? No scheme changes in Los Angeles. Both teams, Kansas City, Green Bay, Jacksonville, no schemes don't change. Cincinnati, nobody's changing schemes. They change players. They don't change schemes in those places. Nobody does that. And by the way, seriously, name me a top flight wide receiver. A top flight wide receiver that left an elite quarterback in the last 7 years. Remember, Tyreek Hill was traded away. He didn't want to leave. They never changed schemes. That is an absolute fucking lie. Diggs is not elite. Diggs is not an elite wide receiver. Deebo Samuel is not an elite wideout. Antonio Brown was thrown off the team. When did he leave, actually? Let's take a look at that. When Antonio Brown left. Antonio Brown. Let's see here. He left Pittsburgh in 2018. Let's see here. Actually, he was still on the team. Roethlisberger threw for 5,800 yards that year. So he left Pittsburgh, and was Antonio Brown still on that team in 18? Let me see. Antonio Brown. Let's see. Antonio Brown was still on the football team in 18. So when did Antonio leave? He left in 2019, 31. Okay. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that Roethlisberger retired in 19. Elite wide receivers don't win you Super Bowls, just stats. Okay. Diggs was coming off 4 straight 1K seasons when he asked out. Are you fucking telling me you think that Stephon Diggs was an elite receiver in the NFL, like with the Jeffersons of the world? Holy shit. You got to be fucking kidding me. Stephon Diggs, you think he's better than A.J. Brown? I mean, some of you people are, listen, so wonderful watching some of you guys in here talk because you're dumb as rocks. You wouldn't know what a good football player was if it hit you in the eyeballs. Holy shit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Actually, in theory, if you look at it, to some extent, his best time. By the way, when Stephon Diggs did leave Buffalo, Josh Allen won the MVP award the following year. Diggs was getting 170 targets a year with Buffalo. I'd hope you put up 1,500 yards. Hey, Bald, get this. When he left, Josh Allen won the MVP award. Right, Carmine? When he left, he won the MVP. Next year, he won the Most Valuable Player award. Didn't hurt his ass. Hey, that's a great take, guy. Thank you. So, you think A.J. Brown leaving Hurts is going to help him or help him this year? Help. Now, Diggs has had a really good career. Let me ask you this. A.J. Brown leaving Hurts will be what this year to him? I think, number one, Hurts more than they help sales in general. So, Clyde, you think A.J. Brown not being here will help him? Because that's because they didn't want to give it to Lamar again. He didn't outplay Lamar. Well, that's a theory. AJ is staying. He's not Antonio Brown. Oh, boy. Still think, huh? Still likes MVPs over Super Bowls. Yeah. Super Bowl MVPs? So, who do you think you get more of an understanding of a player? Hey, AZ, do you think winning a regular season MVP is harder or winning a 60-minute football game MVP like Nick Foles? What do you think is harder to do? AZ, what do you think is harder to do? Play 7 months of football consistently or 60 minutes of football? What do you think? 60 minutes of football or 7 months of football where you have to win that MVP? What's harder to do, you think? Just a question. What's harder to do? To play consistent for 7 months or 60 minutes of football? What do you think? You know the answer. Right. Regular season. Winning a Super Bowl MVP is a fantastic accomplishment. Winning the MVP for the regular season of the NFL, you got to play great every month. You can't have down games. You can't have games where, like, you didn't have a completed pass against the Buccaneers in the fourth quarter. You can't play like that. Ask Bill fans if they want Foles a Super Bowl or MVPs. You're right, dude. Winning Nick Foles, a journeyman guy winning the MVP award like Jim Plunkett, you think separates a guy who is a player that plays for 7 months consistent? Nobody's saying who they'd rather have. But you're trying to tell me you'd rather have fucking Nick Foles over Josh Allen? Are you drunk? How dumb can you get? Outplayed Mahomes. He's still a bum. He outplayed Mahomes. He outplayed Mahomes. So, Clyde, do you think that Jalen Hurts is a better quarterback for a guy who's won 3 Super Bowls and won 5 AFC championships? You think he's better than Mahomes? Clyde, do you think he's better than Patrick Mahomes? Do you think Jalen Hurts? Okay, I was just curious. He's better than Mahomes in the Super Bowl. Mahomes has 3 Super Bowl wins and 3 MVPs. How's he better? Based on what? Based on what? Yeah, but both times he played Mahomes, he outplayed him. Okay, that convo's ended. He only got a Super Bowl MVP for playing okay. I thought he did play better in the one he lost. Foles got one for putting the team on his back and having one of the greatest performances of all time in Super Bowl history. Amen, Curtis. Nick Foles was insane in that Super Bowl. Curtis, let's be candid. Hurts is nowhere in any of those conversations with the performance he put on. Then again, you could put that performance up there with one of the top 3 performances in the history of the Super Bowl. But then you put his career next to him, doesn't match, right? He had a tremendous moment. Okay? Tremendous. Here, get this. So Patrick Mahomes is like 14-4 in the playoffs with 3 Super Bowl wins and 5 appearances. Bro, you need to take the rest of the day off, son. I think you're hemorrhaging. That throw Nick had to Corey Clement in the back of the end zone is my favorite throw of all time. Dude, he was without a doubt one of the absolutely best performances of all time. Sills, like the league disagrees. Hurts was up there with all the other Super Bowl MVPs at the Pro Bowl. Great. The league disagrees? We'll see after this year, my friend. We'll see. It's been the worst passing football team in 5 years that he's been a starter of any contending team. Would you not agree? Would you not agree, David, that the Eagles have had the worst passing offense in 5 years? During this entire run, that their passing offense has been the worst of any contending team. Their bottom 10. Is that correct? 29th in 2002. Here. Facts don't lie. In 21, they were 29th. 22, they were 9th. 23, they were 16th. In 24, they were 29th. And in 25, they were 23. This is why they're changing, and this is why they've added more components. In the last 2 years, Hurts has been, in that offensive passing attack, has been the worst of all of the contending teams. 29th and 23. And you pay $200 million for the talent. That's why you're changing. That's why you're changing. By the way, you don't have to believe me. This is why you're changing. This is why you're adding 4 new pass catchers to go along with Devonta. Okay? They didn't need Jalen to play like that. Yes, they did. Last year they did. And he failed. 49ers knocked the pants off you with a JV team. They needed the offense to elevate because the run game wasn't. He couldn't do it. Fans want to win Super Bowls, not Josh Allen MVPs. So, again, AZ, are you under the impression that, like, Myles Garrett is a stiff because he hasn't won a Super Bowl? He's the best football player in the NFL. Do you agree you can be on a shitty team and a shitty organization? Do you not agree with that? Joe Burrow being in Cincinnati versus being in Atlanta, you don't think that's a difference, right? You don't think that's a difference. Joe Burrow being drafted to the Bengals, and he still took that team to a Super Bowl. So you don't look at it like that. That when a good football player goes to a shitty team, that's on him no matter what, even though the team's shitty. Is that right? You can't be any dumber. Players can't dictate where they go, only in free agency. Is that the question? I didn't ask you what was more valuable. I asked you, do you believe that good players play on shitty teams? Open your freaking ears, guy. There's a great one. So let me get this right. Saquon Barkley is a better back than Barry Sanders because Barry Sanders doesn't have a ring and didn't win a lot of games in Detroit. Is that right? But because somebody's got a couple rings, Saquon Barkley's a better back than Barry Sanders. In your fundamental, ridiculous way of thinking. Well, I think you're picking and choosing. Reggie was a great example of leaving a team to win something. Well, yeah, you went from Norman Brainman to the Green Bay Packers. Yes, it's a great example of it. You went from a shitty organization at the time before Jeffrey Lurie bought it, with Norman Brainman owning the team, to the Green Bay Packers. Yeah, that's right. Reggie Bush is better than Barkley. That's a pretty compatible comp, actually. I think Saquon had a hero year. I think he's a good football player. He's not special. He's never been special in his entire career, but for 1 year. 1 year. And last year, he wasn't special. He was 41st in rushing yards per game. Non-quarterback even. Okay? Non-quarterback. He's a 1-year wonder. Last year, these folks were trying to compare like Derrick Henry to Saquon Barkley. You fucking crazy? Saquon Barkley has no shot at Pro Football's Hall of Fame. Like zero. Still, Sanders retired from the league, but think about something here. And what you just posted here, which is incredible. I was a teammate of Barry's. How about this? Look at what he just said. Barry Sanders retired with 1,500 yards in 10 years. Think about this. Barry Sanders averaged in his career 1,500 yards a career for every year he played. Insane. I mean, insane. Yeah, but wait. According to some people in here, according to some folks in here, Barry Sanders is not a very good player because he didn't win a Super Bowl. Yeah, his rookie year, he was pretty good. He had a boatload of catches. By the way, look at that number. What did you post there with the minus yards? What did you post here with the minus yards there? Because that was incredible. Here it is. Plus, he had negative 2750 because of the O-line. How about this, too? You want to hear even crazier? This is the difference between Emmitt Smith and Barry Sanders. Barry would go like this: -2, -2, 7, 8, -1, 57. And he makes it all up on a run. Here's Emmett. 9, 7, 6, 11. You look up, he's got 20 carries for 158 yards and 3 touchdowns. It was incredible. He did that shit in college too. He did that shit in college. You'd look up, he's got 200 yards and 22 carries, and you're like, what? And you never saw him break off a bigger run than 15 yards. 8 here, 9 here, 8 here, 9 there. Never minus plays. That's what Jimmy loved about Emmett. Emmett never had minus plays. Barry had a king of them. I mean, he just had them out. Hey, Clyde, that Oklahoma State rookie year will never be broached. I thought that Genty had a shot at it. It was pretty close. But Barry Sanders at Oklahoma State was insane. So does anybody know who Penn State's best running back was? 9 Pro Bowls, 2 second-team All-Pros, and 12,000 rushing yards. That's Franco Harris. Shit, I think the other guy in there too, Lydell Mitchell. I think Lydell Mitchell had a hell of a career. I mean, hey, who was that guy, Kyle, that played back in the day? Larry, what was his name? Larry. He was a big-ass back. He had a couple years. I think he went to the Chiefs. What was that dude's name? He was a big-ass back. Not Kajana Carter. Larry Johnson. This dude, Larry Johnson, man, he was a big-time ball player. Yeah, he was that guy, man, he carried the mail. Larry Johnson, let me take a look at that. I think he led the NFL in rushing. He was a big bruising back. I thought he led the NFL. No. Oh, in carries. He had 2 years of 1,700 yards. And after that, he fell off the planet. He had 581. Then he had 1,750 and 20 touchdowns. The next year, he had 416 carries, 1,789, and 7. He had 37 touchdown runs in 2 years and 3,500 rushing yards in 2 years. After that, he was never really the same. Those 2 years beat the shit out of him. And he was never the same. That's incredible. He still had 55 rushing touchdowns in his career. And he turned into a journeyman after that. Dude, those great matchups that between Ray Lewis and Eddie George were wonderful. They were fantastic. Just incredible. Let's see here. Great Kansas City teams that couldn't beat Buffalo. Buffalo was a really great team, though, back then, dude. They had everything. And it was pre-free agency, too. Seals, you think Jack Cam was the best defensive player Penn State's ever had? Bruce Clark didn't do much. Linebackers have been good. Ham's a Hall of Famer. I can't think of a DB. Matt Millen was awful good. Probably. 416 carries. That dude had. Tremendous. Eddie George and Ray Lewis hated but respected one another. Their rivalry was bigger than the 60 minutes on the field. Yeah, because think about it. Tennessee back then, they had Steve McNair. Dude, I love McNair. McNair's one of my favorite quarterbacks of all time. McNair was just McNair was a beast, dude. I mean, I love Steve McNair. Toughness, everything. I remember when Ray over the middle, dude. Prescott missed the playoffs again. Once again, no, we're talking about his 10-4 record against you. We're talking about Dak Prescott's 10-4, 10-5 record versus the Eagles. Prescott's 10-5. And he'll retire with a winning record versus Philadelphia. Get this. Philadelphia doesn't want to understand. He doesn't want to get it. We're still talking about passing yards? Yeah, that's the only thing that's going to be talked about because of all the changes you've made. Carmine, two things can be true, no? He owns the Eagles and he's not good in the playoffs. Can two things be true? Carmine, are those two things true? He owns the Eagles and he sucks in the playoffs. Yeah. I agree with you. Yes. That's what it is. Dak Prescott, I own the NFC East, but I couldn't do anything in the playoffs. Okay. By the way, I think Brock Purdy's 5-2 in the playoffs or 5-3. I forget what his 5-2. Upper management wants passing yards. It's clear. Hey, I wrote that down. Noah, do the Eagles really enjoy winning? Does the owner and does management enjoy winning? I'm just curious here. You think they enjoy winning? They're surely going about a lot to change this football team next year. I mean, they're doing a lot to change it, don't you think? I mean, if they loved winning so much, why they got the quarterback on a hot seat? Hey, can you believe it? The quarterback's on a hot seat this year. Whew. Elite. That's elite. Your quarterback is on a hot seat this year. How elite can you get? Your quarterback is on the hot seat. And you're telling me he's elite. You can want passing yards all you want. Lane's the key to the O. You need to tell those folks that. Seals, Seattle won the Super Bowl with 228 passing yards per game in the regular season. In 23, the Eagles' passing game averaged 225 per game. I don't know why you put as much high in the passing game. Well, here's the difference. You had 27 turnovers that year in 17 games. I'm going to take 24 turnovers in 17 games. You think that's how numbers high, David? You had 24 turnovers in 2023. Is that high for 17 games? 24 turnovers. In 17 games. You think that's high? They upped his volume, and he had more turnovers. Right? Hearing the home crowd boo for 60 minutes has to piss off Lori. Yeah. So Lamar would have took us to the Super Bowl. I don't think so. I think, well, it depends who the coach is. Depends who the coach is. I think he doesn't see the game as clear as Jalen does. I don't. Okay? I don't. Shields, he has 20 total turnovers. Here, folks, I'll show you exactly what we're talking about because, again, here's a guy telling you falsehoods. In 2023, he had 15 interceptions. And he had 9 fumbles. He had 24 turnovers. I'm convinced the half of the Jalenites are just simply delusional, and that other Hall of Fame Black Panther members. Oh, no. Hey, get ready. Once this thing, now that I found out with Coach, wait till I get off the air here because okay, so wait. So 5 lost in. So he had 20 turnovers in 17 games that year, right? 20 turnovers in 17 games instead of 24. He had 9 fumbles, 5 lost. Okay? He had 20 turnovers in 17 games. He had a turnover a game. Okay. All the questions will be answered come September. Oh, no. All the questions will be answered in December. Tom Brady couldn't take us to a Super Bowl with that disabled O-line. Horrible play calling last year, Sills. Here's the difference, though, Ish. Nobody's putting shitty coaches around Tom Brady. Name me one coach that he had around him that was a first-year play calling stiff. Name me one. You think Tom Brady had a play calling nobody? He had Bill O'Brien. He had Charlie Weiss. He had Josh McDaniel. And he had Belichick on the other side. I mean, he never had stiff coaches around him. Then when he went to Tampa, he had Byron Leftwich and Bruce Arians. Had Liam Cohn on the coaching staff. Dave Canales. Hey, by the way, the last time I checked, Dave Canales and Liam Cohn, who were on that Brady coaching staff, all took their teams to the playoffs last year. Am I right? Those guys, they took their teams to the playoffs, right? That's not our standard. We're not in garbage passing stats. Then why the fuck are you changing? This guy won't answer what his own organization's doing. He doesn't see it. You've brought in 5 new pass-catching dudes. A brand new offensive coaching staff. Coach told you the running back coach and the receiver coach don't mean shit in a huddle. You got a brand new offensive coaching staff. A brand new pass-catching group. If they don't mean anything to you, why'd you draft the receiver in the first round then, Killer? Killer, if passing yards don't mean shit to you, why'd you draft the receiver in the first round? You're fucking delusional. They just drafted a wide receiver in the first round. They moved up to get him. And this guy's telling you passing stats don't matter. How can that be that you don't see that? I know how. How in God's name don't you see that? They just spent a 1. They got 2 number 1 wideouts that they've drafted homegrown. And this guy's telling you they don't believe in passing stats. And they're dog shit in passing yards the 5 years that he's been a starting quarterback. And they're averaging the bottom 10 in passing as a unit. What are you talking about? Sills, I know it's a boring answer, but I don't think they're looking for big pass totals. I agree with you, Curtis. I don't think they're going to throw the ball 40 times a game. I'm with you on that. They just want a pass game to be more effective. I happen to agree with you. Curtis, I don't think it's going to be about high volume. Do the Eagles really believe all their problems will be solved with average Jalen throwing to a bunch of nobodies in a different offense? Yeah. Bottom 10 in passing attempt. No, bottom 10 in passing. Bottom 10 in passing. And you're telling me when they upped the volume in 23, where he had 15 interceptions, he's going to be better. We're going to find out. Sills, Killa's the same dude that said 4K and one with 1K wide receiver don't win Super Bowls. You can't take him serious. I mean, it's ridiculous. Passing attempts. I didn't say passing attempts. But he is. Okay. 5 fucking years, 4 of them, they've been in the low 20s. 4 of them. They just drafted a wide receiver number 1. They added 3 more pass catchers. And you think he's going to become Patrick Mahomes with 600 attempts? By the way, guys, if Jalen Hurts throws the ball this year for 600 attempts, let's say that. How many picks do you think he has? I think he has 20 picks. I don't get it. Get this. 5 years. The unit itself. 5 years. 28th, 9th, 16th, 29th, 23. As a group, that's their passing game. Comes out an average of 22nd. It's bottom 10. And this is why they've changed and added all these new pieces and drafted a wide receiver. Think about that. All the shit I'm saying, they're doing. You're the only ones not buying it. If Hurts was so proficient in throwing the ball, why'd they change anything? Because the stupid comment that you make, they're evolving. So you're evolving by getting rid of AJ. As I started my program out, okay, guys, if Jalen is so proficient. Why does AJ want out of here? James, if Hurts is so good at throwing across the middle and he's so wonderful, why does one of the top wide receivers in pro football hate it here? Why do they hate it here? And for the record, don't you think with all these new changes, that would have made the what and what's going on in New England? Don't you think AJ would have went like this? Wow, maybe I don't want to go to New England. They're doing a lot of good things here. Maybe what we could do is mend a bridge. Maybe we can work this out. Why wouldn't he do that? You're not going to be a better passing team without A.J. Brown. I know many of you in here think that. You're not. All the drop balls in the Niner game. So one game. So wait a minute. When Jalen Hurts doesn't complete a pass against the Buccaneers in the second half of a football game, and he can't complete a pass in the second half, AJ drops some footballs in the Niner game. That's an indictment on his entire career in Philly with all the shit he's done. Tell you what, about that final play your quarterback called, a moron could have called that. Carmine, let him go back to Tennessee and see how he likes it. Oh, right now, he probably would love it. He'd get high volume. He'd have a lot of numbers. Hey, Carmine, right now in A.J. Brown's career, what's more important to him, winning games or filling a stat sheet up to try to get to Canton? I think he'd love it too, James. I think he'd love to go back to Tennessee. Are you under the impression? I mean, one of the only wide receivers I've ever seen that is a complete guy when it comes to wanting to win, I do think it's Devonta. I think Devonta really wants to win. Cam Ward has a top 5 arm, can't lie. He's going to be great. I think they need to get weapons around him, though. We're efforting our friend Jason Cole. Hopefully we're able to catch up with him. Still, I'm in the pocket. These people live on 15%. Correct. All right. Boy, I'll tell you what. I've been talking to a lot of folks, and I didn't believe that Mike Vrabel would lose his gig. But, I can't say that anymore. I don't know what's going to happen here. Then again, you got to look at it's New England. They tolerate a lot of crap that goes on up there. Without further ado, let's get to our friend. We love talking with him. He is our Hall of Fame voter. He's Jason Cole. Jace, how you doing, Jace?
I'm good.
You think that, again, every week this thing, and I hate starting this with you here, but do you think the more and more we go into this, you think this is going to end up costing Mike Vrabel his job in New England?
No. Why?
Okay.
I mean, why? I mean, it's an indiscretion. It's not. I mean, who's calling for him to be fired?
I'm saying, does Kraft get to that point?
No. Who's calling for him to be fired?
I haven't heard anyone. I think it's more media people.
But I don't think media people are calling for him to be fired. Like, he got a standing ovation yesterday from at this, Patriots, fan thing. Not that that really matters, but they don't care. It's not their business. It's between him and his wife. If his wife leaves him and takes half of his money, everybody's going to go, good for her, like he deserved it. But he didn't break any laws. He didn't hurt anybody. He didn't threaten anybody's life. He didn't date anybody inside the building, which is how other guys have gotten in trouble. Like
the Celtics head coach.
The Celtics head coach, Sharon Moore, right? Bobby Petrino. It's tawdry, but and people are demanding coverage, and it's like people are talking about this every day. But I don't know what other thing is going to happen. Like, she lost her job because she violated ethics of her job. And, I generally like Diana Rossini. I don't know her that well. I've met her once, talked to her one time, seen her around, acknowledged her work. And I think she's good at what she does. Okay. But she violated the ethics of her profession. He didn't violate the ethics of his profession. He violated the vows and the sanctity of his marriage, and that is between him and his wife, and nothing else matters. And now, do I think that this has been handled all wrong and completely and poorly? Yes, because this is what happens when you don't take questions. This is what happens when you try to read statements and when you try to deflect by saying, I'm going to go to, counseling for a one day. What you do is you say, do you guys have any questions? I apologize to my wife. This is terrible. And, I'm going to see what happens with me and my family. But after that, it's not your business, because it's not. I mean, Sean Payton was going through a divorce in the middle of coaching the New Orleans Saints because Sean Payton was sleeping around on his wife. It stayed quiet, okay? And that was between those two. Everybody knew about it. Nobody really reported on it because it was their business. This has come out in the open. Now, if there was something else to this, which people are, like going, oh, what if there was gambling involved in it? Well, what if there was? Then prove it. Then, show that there was some gambling that was being done, or she was advising people to take bets on the Patriots, or she was making a profit, or, who knows what they're trying to say happened. But there's no evidence of that. So again, this is between him and his wife, and I don't understand where it's going, because the only thing that should happen did happen. That is, she lost her job, and I feel bad for her. I feel sorry for her. She lost her career probably over this. That's her responsibility.
There was a sports writer that brought up something up in Boston that I'd like you to comment on here. I think it was Greg Bedard who brought this up. So what do you make of a guy like Jay Glazer having a beer drinking party for general managers and presidents to come over to his house, and those guys sit around and having conversations about the league and such? By the way, he was critical of it. I haven't said anything to you I'm just asking you how you feel about that.
Look, Jay has, I wrote about this in the Elway book. Jay was drinking with John Fox one time, and they were so drunk from having partied the night before that they fell asleep in Fox's office. Like they were one guy was in a chair, the other one got, was in a room. He has a close relationship with John Fox. He wasn't sleeping with him, but he was, he had a close relationship with the guy. I don't begrudge a reporter who has a really close, friendly relationship with somebody. Is it something I would do? No, I think you're crossing the lines. But Jay Glazer works for Fox. Fox don't care. Fox is the National Enquirer. Literally.
Isn't that a business partner of the NFL's though?
Look, I didn't say it's like I didn't say I loved it, but I don't know. Like, this is where, like, in journalism, we try to pretend that this is a profession. We like, so this is our profession, and this is this and this. It's like, look, I take it very seriously. I learned some ethics in school. This is how, in my heart of hearts, I believe things should be operated. There were newspapers I worked at, and these were the standards and the rules, and you live by the standards and the rules. But a lot of places don't have the same standards and rules, and you're allowed to live a different way. But in none of those places is sleeping with one of your subjects okay. It's just not. Okay. Now, giving out information that relates to gambling or, other kinds of information, yeah, that's where we starting to get into some really questionable territory. We're not talking about that. We're just talking about somebody's a drinking buddy of a head coach or a drinking buddy of a GM or a drinking buddy of this guy. Okay. Look, back in the 50s and 60s, when guys made a whole lot less money, players and sports writers used to go to bars together. There's a great story about Edwin Pope, the quintessential Ed Pope, every story that everybody takes.
Oh my God, I just Googled Edwin.
Right. So Edwin Pope goes out with Joe Robbie, and Joe Robbie says, I'm going to fire George, who was it? I can't remember the first coach, George Smith. I can't remember the name.
Yeah, it was the first coach before Shula.
Yeah, the coach before Shula. George what?
Scott? Does that sound right?
I can't remember. Now, George Scott's an actor, but
his first name was George. I remember Wilson.
George
Wilson.
George. Yeah. So he's going to fire the guy, and he's like, but before I fire him, I got to know who I'm going to hire, and that's when Edwin goes, well, how about Shula? His little Southern drawl, right? And that's how Shula gets hired, because Edwin knew that Shula wanted out of Baltimore because he didn't get along with old man Rosenblum when Carol Rosenblum owned the team way back then. All right, so that's how that all came apart. Where did that happen? At a bar where Joe Robbie and Edwin Pope were drinking together. They were drinking buddies way back when, and Edwin Pope is a guy who's got incredible ethics, right?
Yes.
He's a great writer. But the rules were different back then. And the rules are different depending on where you are. But in no case and in no place is sleeping with a subject okay. It's just not. Okay? Because now you've got into a love interest.
Somebody's asking you a question here, Jace.
Okay.
Why are the media ignoring the possibility of tampering and lowering AJ's trade value?
What's the tampering? What's their tampering?
Tampering this way. If Vrabel was telling her, like, what the Patriots were doing for her to set a story up, she contacts Sean McVay or Kevin Demoff or Les Snead and says that AJ Brown and I'm just talking out loud here. There's been a knee issue with some of the thought process of maybe giving the one-up. The Patriots didn't want to give a one-up. Okay, I'm talking like fans are talking about this, and you tell me.
What if, like it's the old quote, what if monkeys fly out of my butt? I have no idea. Okay, like in some convoluted way, maybe that happened or didn't happen. I don't know. But here's the thing. Prove it. Prove that it happened. And here's the other thing. Any team that's going to trade for AJ Brown, guess what they're going to do? They're going to give him a physical. They're going to know the condition of the knee. Okay? Guess who that just happened to? Max Crosby and the Oakland Raiders with Baltimore. Trade got rescinded. Because guess what? Teams get to give a guy a physical. So this concocted thing about the trade value and this and that, again, go find the stories. Go prove the links. Go prove what's going on. The what ifs just.
How about this, Jason? Let me ask you this question. You just brought something up, and I don't know the procedure on this. When a team wants to make a trade, for a player, does that other team, before you even take the physical, do they get the medicals on that player?
I don't know the exact answer to that. The
Okay.
answer is probably no. I would say, it's probably not, because there's no formal transaction. I think you probably have to declare that there's a transaction to be had. Number one. Number two, you go look up the medicals, and the permission has to be given to see the medicals.
Because of HIPAA rules, right? And laws.
Not necessarily HIPAA, but like there are some privacy rules in place. I mean, the player has to acknowledge, and again, there's a physical that's done. Once there is a trade that's consummated for AJ Brown, whoever he goes to, okay, that team's going to give him a physical. And if they don't like the condition of the knee, they got a decision to make. Because here's what happens all the time in the NFL, so that everybody understands. Every player in the NFL right now if they go to a team and take a physical, they can be failed on a physical. Every single player in the NFL, because if they've played football for any length of time, there has been some level of damage that's been done to their body, and a team can look at that level of damage and say, we're not willing to accept that, or we're willing to accept that. And that is what a physical is really about. It's not passing a physical. Passing a physical in the NFL is not a clean bill of health. It's not the same thing as it is for normal human beings. You go to your doctor, you take a physical, and they go, you passed your physical, and this and that. That ain't the same thing in the NFL. It's just not. It's like, yeah, his knee's a little bit messed up from this. He's got some scar tissue here. He's got this. Had a surgery 5 years ago. He's got some lingering condition for that. Had something from college. The shoulder's not so great. But, he'll probably play for 2 to 3 more years without really much problem before he starts to degenerate. And the GM goes, okay, thanks, we'll take him. That's what happens.
Especially in some, like when you go to a state like Michigan, like when I signed with the Lions, Jason, because of the unions up there, holy shit, I had to take my physical twice. Compared to when you take a physical, like when you're flying around and you go to Miami for the Dolphins. I took a physical down there, no problem. They passed me. I took the Cowboys. They passed me. You go to places like New England, I failed the physical because I took one, whether or not they were going to sign me in places. Every place is a little bit
everybody has different levels of what they're willing to accept.
Yeah.
So this AJ Brown, he's injured or whatever, it's like, come on. It's I just show me proof. Show me something that should it's more likely that Diana had better information, not concocted information. Okay. Because of this relationship, because I'm just going to say this, that's part of the reason she was involved in the relationship. It was for the sake of getting information. I hate to say that, but that's what it was. I don't know what I don't.
The story is exhausting. You think the story is exhausting, don't you?
I don't know that it's going to go anywhere. I don't know that it should go anywhere. Again, when Sharon Moore got fired at Michigan, he broke into a woman's house. There was criminal activity. The man was losing his mind. He was sleeping with somebody who worked in the office. He was violating, workplace, sexual harassment laws. The University of Michigan.
Uncool work environment.
Yeah, absolutely. And the same thing. There's the guy who was at Illinois. And again, Bobby Petrino. You go back to the Mike Price with the Alabama situation. I mean, I listed a bunch of these. Those were all basically workplace violations or conduct that was unbecoming of the university. You could say this is unbecoming, but man, the Patriots would never win a lawsuit for that.
No.
And the dude just took his team to the Super Bowl. a year after, they had to fire a guy after 1 year because it was, right. So like, we're going to like, you had Belichick for 25 years. You had the greatest dynasty of all time. You went to the next guy. He was terrible. And then you went and got the next best guy and he took you to the Super Bowl. You're not firing that guy. You're dealing with the mess. And the people who say that the players, won't respect him and all the players want to do is win games, man. Win games, make money in some order, some order like that. And yes, they would. I'm sure that most of them would prefer to play for a guy who they don't have to answer questions for their girlfriends or their wives about. What's all that about? I don't know. I don't ask. I play for the man. He tells me what to do. That's how that works.
Okay, let me ask you about Calais Campbell here. So Calais Campbell is entering his 19th year. There's only 2 other players in NFL history that have played as many or more. Jim Marshall played 20, and Bruce Smith played 19. 2026 will be Calais Campbell's 19th season. When you look at Calais Campbell, do you see Hall of Fame?
Not off the top of my head, but I haven't looked at him.
I think over 100 sacks.
Yeah, but 100 sacks in 19 years is not. I'm now looking up. I mean, look, 100 sacks is nice. It's not the be-all, end-all. Was he an incredibly dominant player? He had his moments.
I would say no.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to look. I'd have to look.
So do you think he's a modern day Jim Marshall then?
Probably. He's closer to Jim Marshall. I mean, here, let's look at it this way. He's been first team All-Pro in 18 years. Once.
No way.
He's been second team All-Pro 3 times. Now, those are, very nice numbers generally. If you had played 10 years, it'd look very impressive. You played 19, not so much.
Hey, Steve McMichael got in with only 1 All-Pro.
I understand that, but look, you're talking the wrong guy about I didn't stand up and go yeah on Steve McMichael either.
Yeah, I don't think he was a Hall of Famer. I think it was a lot of sentiment.
Yeah, I mean the guy was sick and it was gonna.
But
you can make an argument for McMichael.
You can
make it based on the dominance and fierceness of the defense that he played on. And for a snapshot in time, he and Hampton were everything about that defense. I can see that argument. With Calais Campbell, is Calais Campbell ever the guy who stirred the drink? Or even like one of the top 4 players? Like, again, he's had some moments. And if you had 3 or 4 Super Bowls.
Older man of the year, too.
Yeah. How about, does he compare to Bill Romanowski? He played an awful long time and
Romanowski's got 4 rings.
I know he does. But he's got 4 rings, but it's the same kind of long career.
Yeah, he played 17, 14 years, something like that.
Like a long time. I mean, it's sort of like Romanowski in my view. Like, good long career. Did you ever think that he was the most dominant player at his position?
True. I don't think he's better than Neil Smith, not Bruce Smith. Remember Neil Smith from the?
I know, from Kansas City.
I don't know if he was better than Neil. Neil was a pretty good ball player.
Yeah, Neil's a really good ball player. I would put Neil Smith ahead of Calais Campbell, but it's we're talking about degrees, and somebody could argue that Calais is better. Based again a lot of it. Based
in the end, I mean, I don't know why he's not, but Leslie O'Neal's got a resume out there.
Leslie O'Neal was a terrific player. He was a force. You can argue he was a force. Calais Campbell, an all decades player, awfully good. Hall of Fame. I'm not feeling it.
Chase, 2 last ones here for you. I got to ask you this last one here. So Jalen Hurts hasn't had a contract extension. He's eligible for it. And, there's so much noise going around him. I don't know if I've ever seen anything like it. Guy with a resume like that. And we've asked numerous people. I've asked so many Hall of Fame voters. A lot of people are going, he's not a Hall of Fame player. I asked Armando, he's like, not even remotely close. I even asked Jared Bell that he's not a Hall of Fame player. What would he have to do, in your opinion, for to even be considered that? Because right now, even with the resume he has, these people in Philly think he's a Hall of Fame guy, and he's not.
I don't think everybody in Philly thinks he's a Hall of Fame guy. I think there are certain people who feel he's a Hall of Fame guy.
Probably, you're right. I should take that back. Probably, it's more like 80-20. That probably don't.
I think he's had. Look, I think he's had an excellent career, and but he's not. He's tough because do you ever look at him and say, "My God, that's the great." That's one of the greatest quarterbacks I've ever seen.
Like I take Steve McNair.
But do you Steve McNair was a hell of a player. You talk about a guy like, to me, Steve McNair is what you say about Leslie O'Neal, and I think people miss it all the time on Steve McNair. That's how good Steve McNair was.
Hurts is nowhere in Steve McNair's league.
Steve McNair was a man. He was all man.
Man, was he good?
Yeah, he's the most underrated, underappreciated player maybe of all time. He's way up there. I think Jalen Hurts is really good, and he's had some moments that are spectacular. His 2 Super Bowls are great performances. And, his story is really interesting. The whole thing about losing the job at Alabama, coming back, working his way into the job, and taking over, and the team, coalescing as he got there. But I always look at, he's just had phenomenal weapons too, right? He's had, Saquon. Saquon's closer to a Hall of Famer. AJ Brown is probably closer to a Hall of Famer than that. And I don't think AJ is a Hall of Famer yet. And Devonta is a really great player. The tight ends that they've had, with him have been terrific. The offensive line has been, one of the best in the league consistently. He's not a guy who's functioned well when things are not perfect around him. That makes him a really good player. I think he's like a better version of Dak Prescott. I would rather have him than Dak Prescott, but I'm not sure I would pick either one of them in the top 5 in the top 5 or top 8 in the league. I mean, to me, he's a shade better than Brock Purdy, who's a really good player, but not great. Not in that upper echelon when you start talking about Hall of Fame potential. I don't even think Joe Burrow's a Hall of Famer yet, but he's got all the ability in the world. And so if I think Joe Burrow is a way better quarterback, than Jalen Hurts, but I'm not even going to put Joe Burrow in the.
No, Burrow's not done enough. No way.
Lamar Jackson, is Lamar Jackson a Hall of Famer? Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably. He's way ahead of where Jalen is.
Josh Allen too.
But for Eagles fans, I get and I appreciate this, that the man has this close to winning 2 Super Bowls for you, right? He's this close. One, questionable call in the Kansas City Eagles, Super Bowl game, right? And he'd be a 2-time Super Bowl winner, and you'd be talking about it as the greatest quarterback in Eagles history, right? I mean, he may be the greatest quarterback in Eagles history anyways, right? Depending on, do we want to go all the way back to Van Brocklin or something like that? I don't know how you want to deal with that, but he's generated some memories for Eagles fans that are just incredibly important for those people. And so I recognize that those people love him and appreciate him, and they should. The Eagles organization should appreciate him. That doesn't mean that you give him a new contract. It doesn't mean that he doesn't have to improve in some significant ways, like throwing the ball across the middle, delivering the ball on time, be more of the guy that people are drawn to, rather than the guy who people are like, what kind of
They
dude
win in
is this?
spite of.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I wouldn't say that they win in spite of him, but I don't know that they win because of him. I think that he adds something to the mix. There's a dynamic ability that he has. I don't even know if that's a word. Dynamicism or whatever.
I like it though.
It's some dynamic ability. It's too hard for me to say. My brain can't process it. But he's done his job, and he's done it about as well as you could ever ask him to do, based on the kind of talent that he has. I think the expectations that have been set for Jalen Hurts may be a little unfair for him. And so they're going to have to deal with this. But I think they're going to I think at the end of the day, they're probably going to pay him a new contract, because again, what are you going to do? I mean, are you going to go back in the market and try and find another guy?
I don't know what they're going to do. Jace, here, make sure you guys do me a favor. If you're in the Gainesville area, just make sure if you get there to Central Florida, you get up to the Bagel Bay.
Back here, see, there's the boat. We give that money to charity.
How's that going there with the charity there?
We're up about 13,000, and there's a picture up on the wall over there. They bought one of these. These boats cost like $40,000 each, right? So the club bought. They're buying a new boat. They're about to send, I think, between 2 and 4 teams to nationals. I think they got the regional championships coming up in a week or two, and if they medal, if a bunch of kids probably going to medal there. And if they medal there, then those kids are going to go to nationals. Probably have 3 or 4 boats go to nationals, and we were able to buy them a new boat this year, so they're doing great. Thank you.
Jason, I love you very much, man. Thank you again. We'll catch you down the line here. Thank you so much, man, for your time.
Don't watch the rowing on the Schuylkill River. All right, I'll talk to you later.
I see you, man. All right, my friends, we appreciate you very much. How about that? Bang. My friends, we appreciate you more than you know. All right. Do me a favor. 2 to 6 tomorrow. Hit the like button on the way out, and we shall see you on the flip side. Yeah!
There's a reason the Karate Master was the #1 salesman in the lumber department.
Karate.
Just like there's a reason Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury law firm. Injured? With over $25 billion recovered for our clients, there's a reason to go big. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.